Immortal Family Cultivation. I am the reincarnation of a great ancestor. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26. The Zhang family discusses the spy strategy in secret. Lingyu incarnates and Jinjishi. What do you Zhang family mean by this? Yan Lingyu's voice exploded in the alchemy room. He wanted to pass the information out, but ripples were generated around him, completely absorbing the sound in the room. A silent formation was in effect. Yan Lingyu frowned, ready to open his Hengshui spirit body at any time. At the same time, his hand had secretly moved to his waist, where there was the life-saving seal talisman given by Liuxi. Now that the formula of the foundation building pill has just been deciphered and has not been transmitted back to the clan, he cannot die here. But at this time, he is in the heart of the Zhang family and is still trapped by an unknown formation. If he wants to win a glimmer of hope, he can only think of ways to make a big noise and attract other family forces, such as the State Master. Now everyone is still studying the foundation building pill, and the State Master cannot let the alchemist have problems. As long as he takes action, Yan Lingyu's life will be safe. As for why the Zhang family suddenly took action, the two families are mortal enemies after all, and there is no point in thinking about this. Thinking of this, Yan Lingyu released the spell and rushed towards the Zhang family member, grabbing a hostage first. Things changed too fast. The Zhang family members who had not received any news were stunned for a while when facing the wolf like Yan Lingyu. When he came to his senses, the former's attack had arrived. When the wooden spikes and water bullets shot by Yan Lingyu were about to hit the target, a water curtain easily blocked these attacking spells. A new figure appeared in the Bingxi alchemy room. Little friend Yan, don't worry, we have no bad intentions. The person who spoke was a middle-aged man wearing a blue-gray robe and a crown on his head. His appearance was similar to Zhang's Hengshui. Seeing this person appear out of thin air, Yan Lingyu quickly distanced himself from him and observed carefully, with the seal talisman already in his arms. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhang Pingchen. I came here to talk to little friend Yan about something good. Zhang Pingchen had a kind smile on his face, and there was no murderous intent around him. But Yan Lingyu did not dare to take it lightly, but instead took a more rigorous defensive posture. If you want to talk, remove the restrictions around you and go find the elders of my Yan family. What can I, a junior of the Yan family, talk to you about? Yan Lingyu replied in a low voice. But the other party was still smiling. No, we, the Zhang family, have found you. We want to invite you to join the Zhang family. When this was said, Yan Lingyu almost fell down in shock. I really like the words that the Yan family often say. Little friend Yan, you don't have to pretend anymore. You don't actually know how to make pills. Zhang Pingchen was obviously relaxed by the former, and said slowly, the elders of the Yan family used you as a scapegoat for Yan Lingyu. It is so unkind and unjust. You should have complained a long time ago and wanted to withdraw from the Yan family. As long as you join my Zhang family, we can not only provide you with materials for cultivation, but also help you get revenge. As he spoke, Zhang Pingchen waved his sleeves, and an ancient book floated towards Yan Lingyu, and turned the pages out of thin air, showing the contents of the book. Yan Lingyu was startled by this move, thinking that the other party was about to use some high-end magic weapon and was about to attack. Fortunately, the other party's voice entered his ears. After a brainstorming, Yan Lingyu finally understood what the other party meant. The Zhang family thought that he was a discarded child to protect Yan Lingyu. At the same time, he thought of the various strange behaviors of the assassin when he was assassinated before. He was originally wondering why the assassin did not kill him. Now he finally understood that the Zhang family was still thinking about recruiting him. Yan Lingyu laughed secretly in his heart. Let's not talk about who he and Yan Lingyu were the cover. How could he, the reincarnation of the ancestor of the Yan family, betray the family he founded? After sorting out the whole story, Yan Lingyu was much more stable. Then, he looked at the so-called secret book in front of him with interest. It seemed to be a martial arts book. Zhuangxi Shumianju? The Road to the Golden Elixir. It comes with 2 high-level mysterious spells. Hengshui. The origin of the spirit body. Characters flashed before Yan Lingyu's eyes. He was extremely surprised. If this Zhuangxi Shui Mianju was really as written on it, It would at least be a high-level Zhuan level water-based technique. And what Yan Lingyu lacked now was a suitable technique. Not to mention the path to the golden elixir, the 2 high-level spells alone made him excited. Although he didn't know the specific effects of these 2 spells, just looking at their names, he knew they were extraordinary. Reincarnation Yin Lei, Hengshui, one of the 6 great divine waters, Yin Lei, together with Yang Lei, formed the source of the world's thunder method, and they were all wonders of heaven and earth. The origin of the spirit body, with the 2 words spiritual body itself, was already quite good. To be honest, Yan Lingyu was already moved. It was also at this moment that he became very alert. In his opinion, even if the Zhang family wanted to win him over, there was no need for them to give such a heavy gift. There must be a trick. Soon, with Yan Lingyu's vision of more than 200 years, he discovered the flaws of this technique. In the early stage of practicing this technique, the progress of cultivation will be very slow, and even the threshold of foundation building cannot be reached. If you cannot advance to the foundation building stage, you can forget about using the 2 mysterious magics. Sure enough, the Zhang family has bad intentions. This is not a technique that a normal person can practice. But Yan Lingyu is not a normal person. He has a system. He has cultivation recovery, and his cultivation can grow naturally and quickly. This means that the defects of Zhuangxi Shumianju will not affect Yan Lingyu. It can exert 100% of its power in Yan Lingyu's hands. It can also solve the problem of Yan Lingyu's cultivation progress after the cultivation recovery reward disappears. Dong 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 as calm as Yan Lingyu is, his heartbeat can't help but speed up. Even if he has a deep scheming, he can't suppress his excitement at this time. At this moment, he understands that this Zhuangxi Shumianju must not be let go. Yan Lingyu took a deep breath and said, "What do you want me to do?" Zhang Pingchen saw that the former did not refuse at the first time, and showed a hint of joy, which did not seem to be acting, and sneered in his heart. "You are indeed an ignorant and foolish boy without any schemes. You can just dream of your foundation building pill. When the Yan family disappears, you will be useless and will be eliminated." Although Zhang Pingchen thought so in his heart, his face was warm. "What you have to do is to tell us the core information of the Yan family, and when we issue a task, you can kill the top leaders of the Yan family. Of course, our Zhang family will not make it difficult for you. Masters like Liu Yuxi and Yan Jichuan will naturally be dealt with by our Zhang family." After saying this, Yan Lingyu's face changed, his eyes were full of red light, and he said in a low voice, "Does the Yan family have my beloved relatives, brothers and sisters I have to pay more?" Of course, Zhang Pingchen bowed his head and laughed, thinking in his heart, "Young people are greedy, but our Zhang family is not afraid of you asking for more, but afraid that you don't want it. I'll also give you this King's Heart Shield, just to make up for the loss of your magic weapon." Another small black shield floated towards Yan Lingyu. Yan Lingyu was also surprised. She didn't expect that there would be such an unexpected gain. No matter what, just take the thing first. At the same time, he sighed. The Zhang family is worthy of being the oldest family in Yingzhou. The people are stupid and rich. Then, with a flattering expression, he clasped his fists and thanked, "Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Lingyu will definitely not let the Zhang family down. Please collect and read it." Woo woo woo. Chapter 27, the research on the elixir failed, and the Zhang family made a move. "Pingchen, how did that go?" In the Zhang family meeting room, the elder Zhang Zhangyi was talking with the head of the Zhang family. Seeing his grandson Zhang Pingchen coming in, he asked, "Reporting to Grandpa, it's just as you expected. Yan Lingyu has long had grievances against the Yan family." The other party agreed to a request with almost no resistance. Zhang Chenping answered when he saw Yan Lingyu coming back. Then he told the 2 family leaders about the conversation process. "Good, good, good," Zhang Zhangyi said 3 times in a row. Recently, something good happened, and his frown was relieved a lot. Seeing this, the head of the Zhang family stepped forward and said flatteringly, "As expected of an elder of the clan, you were able to catch such a useful chess piece from the initial catching wind and shadow, and grasp the other party's mind so accurately. This method of controlling people's hearts is really admirable." Zhang Zhangyi's smile became even wider. He stroked his short beard, waved his hand and said with a smile, "You still have a lot to learn from me." Then, under the gaze of the clan members, the elder spread out his palm, condensed the light yellow true energy in his palm, and turned it into nail shape. With a fierce look in his eyes, he said, "This nail is the beginning of the decline of the Yan family. Puff the nail turned into the word Yan again, and then Zhang Zhangai clenched his fist hard and annihilated the word Yan in his hand. Bingxi Alchemy Room. After the Zhang family left, Yan Lingyu picked up the Zhuangxi Shumianju and began to examine it. Since the Zhang family thought he couldn't make pills, and he didn't need to study the formula for the foundation building pill, he might as well act to the end. Yan Lingyu stopped pretending and showed his hand. That's right, he is now a rebellious young man with few skills but high ambitions. After 3 lives, Yan Lingyu's skills in pretending to be a Tang are first class. This is also an important reason why he was able to survive to the middle stage of foundation building without a system in his previous life. Now that he has the identity of a spy for the Zhang family, his safety is guaranteed. At least he doesn't have to worry about the sudden attack of the Zhang family recently. At the same time, he can also use this identity to find ways to obtain some internal information of the Zhang family and become a spy among spies. Suppressing his thoughts, Yan Lingyu put his mind completely on this water-based technique. He didn't disperse his power and practice it immediately, but first followed the handwriting on the technique and began to mobilize the inner ki cycle in his body to go back and forth for a few rounds. After practicing the Zhuangxi Shumianju for a few weeks, Yan Lingyu's natural growth and cultivation did not decrease, and it was even faster. You know, Yan Lingyu is practicing 2 different techniques at the same time. As we all know, 2 completely different techniques conflict with each other. Simply put, practicing 2 techniques at the same time cannot achieve twice the effect, and it may even be counterproductive, and it is not even as fast as practicing 1 technique alone. But now Yan Lingyu feels that he is practicing 1 technique. His original technique and Zhuangxi Shumianju are like a fusion. In the world of cultivating immortals, a technique cultivates the unique true ki of the technique. If you want to change the technique, you have to clear the true ki in your body, that is, you have to abandon your cultivation, fall back to the first level of ki training, and then practice again. At this moment, Yan Lingyu changed the technique but did not have to start over. He could directly maintain his original cultivation and change the technique. Is this because of the uniqueness of Zhuangxi Shumianju? Impossible. If this technique is so compatible, the Zhang family can practice other techniques first and then switch to Zhuangxi Shumianju. If so, the Zhang family's strength will be very terrifying, and they will not trade this heaven-defying technique. Then the problem should be with me. System. Cultivation recovery. Soon, Yan Lingyu had a guess in his mind. Strictly speaking, his current cultivation is given by the system. Even the true ki generated when practicing the technique is converted into the effect of cultivation recovery, and the uniqueness of his true ki will not be obvious. To make an analogy, Yan Lingyu's true ki is like a piece of white paper, and any color can be carved on it. Not only that, any color rendered on it will be absorbed by the white paper, and the white paper will always be white, until the cultivation recovery effect disappears. In other words, before Yan Lingyu reaches the middle stage of foundation building, he can change his own technique at will. After thinking about this, he secretly sighed that the system is powerful, and at the same time he is full of hope for his future. Because of the existence of the spring and autumn system, Yan Lingyu will be reincarnated infinitely, but when his memory is restored in his next life, he will have already practiced a technique. It is time-consuming and wasteful for ordinary people to change their cultivation. Now the system has solved this problem for him, saving a lot of effort. Yan Lingyu's expression was condensed. In this case, let's start to change cultivation. After eliminating his worries, he decided to change to Zhuangxi Shumianju as soon as possible, so that he could understand the 2 1-level spells, Hengshui Yinli and the origin of the spirit body faster. Time passed, and another 15 days passed in a blink of an eye. There were only 3 days left to complete the formula of the foundation building pill. At this time, if someone looked at the golden elixir tiger skin again, they would find that the small words on it had dimmed and were almost impossible to see clearly. The remaining formula of the foundation building pill was about to disappear. Outside the Zhang family's meeting hall, dark clouds were overcast, and lightning flashed in the sky. Even more gloomy than the sky was the face of the Zhang family's top leaders. Elder, the summon still failed. Elder, the Bai and Lu families were on the wrong track from the beginning. Although they have new ideas, it is too late. Elder, there is no progress on the State Master's side. Elder, Yan Lingyu, who we have high hopes for, also failed in the trial. None of his new ideas can be made into pills. Listening to the reports from the clan members, Zhang Zhangai was isolated and his face was as cold as frost. He didn't expect that even with the combined efforts of all the alchemists in Yingzhou, they couldn't research the complete formula of the foundation-building pill. At the same time, he also understood that it would be difficult for the Zhang family to have the foundation-building pill formula if it didn't work this time. He was thinking whether he should take advantage of the fact that several alchemists are still in good condition and have a deep impression of the pill formula to extend the time for everyone to study. Then, he gave up again. The consumption of 1 month is a great pressure on several forces. The senior executives and alchemists of each family must be sent back, otherwise, the production of each family will stagnate, and the spirit stone chain will be broken due to the lack of alchemists to make pills. Zhang Zhangai sighed. Then the frustration in his eyes turned into viciousness. Since it's impossible to strengthen the clan's strength through the foundation-building pill recipe, we can only choose to weaken others. Elder, are we going to start now? Asked the head of the Zhang family. No, Zhang Zhangai replied, and then said, the State Lord will not agree. The whole Yingzhou knows that the State Lord is connected with the Zhang family. If someone from the Yan family dies in the Zhang family, the black water will splash on the State Lord and affect his own reputation. That guy is not a master who is willing to suffer losses, so, if you want to destroy the Yan family, you can only do it outside Peking City. Zhang Zhangai paused, looking out the window. At this time, the sky of Yingzhou was covered by dark clouds, and it began to rain. The rain hit the window paper, making a crisp sound. He said solemnly, the weather is just right, give orders to prepare to start. Don't seek to completely destroy the Yan family, but to encircle and annihilate Liu Yuxi and strangle Yan Lingyu and Yan Jidao. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Lingyu reveals his inner demons, a blessing in disguise. Yan Lingyu exhaled lightly and woke up from meditation. After a few days of practice, his martial arts has been completely transformed into the Zhuangxi Shumianju. And his cultivation level has not only not decreased, but there are signs of breaking through the 6th level of key training. In order not to attract attention, he has to suppress his cultivation level and cannot break through in the Zhang family. After Yan Lingyu took a short rest, he got up and went out, heading towards the Bingai alchemy room. Because of the change in martial arts, he hasn't seen Yan Lingyu for 10 days. As soon as he entered the door, the young man in front of him made Yan Lingyu frown. Yan Lingyu was sitting there decadently, his hair piled on his head because he hadn't taken care of it for a long time, his eyes were dull, and his eyes were focused on the classics with a distracted look. At the same time, his limbs were weakly bent, and the whole person was a little thinner than before. Seeing the other party in such an embarrassing state, Yan Lingyu hurried forward, injected his true ki into his brother's body, and took care of his breath. He said with concern, "Third brother, if you really can't research it, forget it, there is no need to throw your life into it." Yan Lingyu knew that Yan Lingyu had a strong sense of responsibility and wanted to contribute to the family, so he devoted himself to studying the recipe of the foundation-building pill. If he was not worried about leaking it, he would have wanted to tell Yan Lingyu about the pill formula he already knew to reduce his burden. Yan Lingyu attached great importance to this brother. In the future, when Yan Lingyu reaches the middle stage of foundation building, he will definitely leave the Yan family and go out to find an opportunity to advance to the golden pill. If he leaves, the Yan family must have a skilled alchemist to take charge. In his opinion, Yan Lingyu is very suitable, whether it is his quiet nature, talent, or loyalty to the family. Therefore, Yan Lingyu must not fail, he is the pillar of the Yan family. Seeing that his brother was still in a daze, Yan Lingyu turned around and glared at the Zhang family members in the alchemy room, saying, "Is this how you, the Zhang family, take care of the alchemist you invited?" However, the other party showed a mocking expression and said arrogantly, "This kid doesn't eat spiritual food himself, what does it have to do with my Zhang family?" Yan Lingyu's eyes were cold and he said no more. Now that it is hopeless to jointly study the recipe of the foundation-building pill, the Zhang family hopes that the Yan family's alchemist will be abandoned. At this time, Yan Lingyu finally came to his senses. When he saw Yan Lingyu, tears suddenly welled up in the former's eyes, and he said in a guilty voice, "Ninth brother, I'm sorry for the Yan family, I was too arrogant and too anxious. Every time I had an idea, I was anxious to try it, which caused the alchemy materials to fall into the sea and be wasted. This month, I spent more than 2,000 spirit stones from the family. The sigh of my grandfather when he sent the spirit stones has always lingered in my mind. After speaking with difficulty, Yan Lingyu was already in tears and his emotions were almost collapsed. Seeing this scene, Yan Lingyu was shocked. He realized that his brother had shown signs of developing inner demons. If he was not guided in time, Yan Lingyu would sink and become a real useless person. With a thought, Yan Lingyu took out a soothing and nourishing pill from his waist and gave it to his brother. At the same time, he called out directly, "Third brother, don't you find that your alchemy skills have improved a lot? Your current level is close to that of an alchemy master. The family needs to train an alchemy master, and it costs more than 3,000 spirit stones. You use your talent to save the family a sum of money. Moreover, after you become an alchemy master, the benefits you can bring to the family are beyond imagination. You are now a thorn in the side of the Zhang family. They want to get rid of you as soon as possible. Are you willing to fall and let the Zhang family succeed? Think about your 10th sister. Think about the Liu clan elders who are struggling to support you. Think about the second master who has placed his hopes on you, and cheer up. Third brother, the Yan family is proud of you." Yan Lingyu's words constantly shook Yan Lingyu's heart, and ripples continued to appear in the latter's heart. Gradually, Yan Lingyu's eyes were no longer turbid, and his eyes became clear. At the same time, wisps of light green true qi overflowed from Yan Lingyu's body. Yan Lingyu, who was closest to him, could feel his brother's magic power trembling. With a pop sound, Yan Lingyu's momentum changed, and his cultivation broke through to the 6th level of qi training. "What?" the Zhang family members behind the two brothers exclaimed in surprise, looking incredible. This Yan Lingyu not only walked out of his inner demon, but also turned a disaster into a blessing and broke through the shackles. The Zhang family members were shocked and secretly regretted that they should not have watched Yan Lingyu being awakened. If they had just stopped him, they might have been able to remove a major obstacle for the Zhang family without any effort. However, it was too late to take action now. "Ninth brother, thank you." Yan Lingyu's loud voice rang out, and his decadence was swept away, with gratitude in his eyes. "Ninth brother, you are right. I was born to be useful. I, Yan Lingyu, have not yet started to serve the family. How can I give up on myself?" Seeing the smile on the other's face, Yan Lingyu was relieved. At the same time, he was also worried. None of the younger generations of the Yan family were reassuring. This was the case with Yan Lingyu, who ran away from home, and the same was true for Yan Lingyu, who looked easygoing and indifferent but almost possessed. Taking care of these kids is more time-consuming than spiritual infusion. Fortunately, both of them did not make mistakes. Yan Lingyu patted his brother on the shoulder and smiled. "Third brother, it's good that you have figured it out. Well, by the way, ninth brother, how much time is left now?" 2 days, what? Third brother, do you still want to continue? Yan Lingyu's heart, which was slightly relieved, was lifted again. But Yan Lingyu laughed and said with a relaxed look, "Don't worry, ninth brother, your brother has completely come out of the negative emotions." At the same time, he glanced at the Zhang family members in the distance and secretly transmitted, "The joint research will end soon. It seems that the foundation building pill recipe will not be successful. I am worried that the Zhang family will take action against us, so I remind you, you are right." Yan Lingyu replied. In fact, Yan Lingyu came to Yan Lingyu this time to explain this matter, but unexpectedly saved the latter by chance. Then, Yan Lingyu transmitted again, "Ninth brother, I have gained a lot from this trip to research pills. What about you?" If the ancestors of the Zhang family knew about it, they would jump out of the coffin and slap Zhang's Hengshui one by one. The two brothers looked at each other and couldn't help laughing. Yan Lingyu said again, "My grandfather gave me a protective magic weapon before. If the situation changes, you come close to me and I will take you out." "Yes," Yan Lingyu nodded in response. 2 days later, the things the brothers worried about did not happen. After the joint research was completed, the Zhang family simply gathered several alchemists and asked them to share their findings. Then, they asked the alchemists to erase their memories of the remaining formula of the foundation building pill. With the threat of the blood curse, the Zhang family did not need to do it themselves, nor was they afraid that the various forces would make small moves, secretly retain the memory, and go back to research and develop the foundation building pill again. When all this was completed, each family went back home. The alchemists of the Yan family were also greeted and protected by the anxiously waiting clansmen at the gate of the Zhang family mansion. Chapter 29 Telling the recipe, Yuxi is surprised. Over Peking City, dark clouds covered the sky, and it was gloomy. It was still noon, but it was already covered in black light. Then, thunder suddenly sounded, and heavy rain fell. In an instant, the whole huge city was washed. Mortals and monks on the road hid from the rain. Curses, shouts, and sighs echoed in the streets and alleys. According to investigations, this heavy rain is the most powerful in Peking City in the past 20 years. I don't know which Dragon King is venting his anger here. At the same time, this rain also disrupted the pace of the Yan family's return. Because the rain reduced visibility, the key training monks were unable to release their spiritual consciousness. Now the return journey not only affected the speed, but also the risk of being attacked secretly. For the safety of the clan members, Liu Yuxi, the elder of the Yan family, decided to reorganize in the city first, and wait until the rain weakened before setting off to return. In this way, the Yan family returned to Tongfuan from the Zhang family gate. In the guest room, Liu Yuxi invited several clan members back. She already knew the details of the alchemy research meeting. Although she was a little disappointed that no one had perfected the foundation building pill formula, several Yan family alchemists had good results, which made the family elder feel gratified. Especially Yan Lingyu's growth. Unknowingly, 7 generations of the family have grown up and become the pillars of the family. A picture flashed through Liu Yuxi's mind. It was Yan Zhiliang's open and secret praise for his grandson. The head of the Yan family was as happy as a child when he learned that his grandson had made a double breakthrough in Daodan. She smiled softly on her face. Knock knock. Suddenly, there was another knock on the door. Who is it, elder? It's me, Lingyu. Yan Lingyu's leisurely voice came from outside the door. Come in. Yan Lingyu pushed the door openly and entered without pretending. The room was illuminated by the lights, which made Liu Yuxi look particularly kind. Elder, Yan Lingyu saluted. Zio Lingyu, what do you want to see me for? Liu Yuxi was a little curious at this time. The younger generation of the 7th generation usually would not meet her directly. They were all introduced by the 5th and 6th generations. It was rare for someone like Yan Lingyu to come alone. I think she had something important to tell her. The latter did not speak directly, but looked around, moved his body, closed the doors and windows, and put up a few restrictions. Even so, Yan Lingyu still felt uneasy and asked Liu Yuxi to help set up the silent spell. This action made the Liu clan elder look serious. After everything was arranged, Yan Lingyu showed a bright smile, and then transmitted the voice, Liu clan elder, I have researched the recipe for the foundation building pill. Every word was transmitted into Liu Yuxi's sea of consciousness, and the old woman was stunned for a few breaths. Then he widened his eyes were full of disbelief, his expression was out of control, he even forgot to transmit his voice, and exclaimed, What? The formula of the foundation building pill has been researched. As long as we test the dosage a little, my Yan family can produce the foundation building pill by ourselves. Yan Lingyu transmitted his voice again, as steady as water. Boom. The next moment, a violent fluctuation of mana swept through the room. And thin objects such as bed sheets, book pages, and window paper were shaken up and down, and even the teacups on the table had obvious cracks. Liu Yuxi's long hair was bloated, her robes fluttered, and her violent and deep true energy rushed towards Yan Lingyu. Fortunately, the former stopped it in time, otherwise it would have caused accidental injuries. Although the mana could be stopped, Liu Yuxi could not stop smiling. Her voice began to tremble. Little Lingyu, are you serious? Don't joke with me, the elder of the clan. She still didn't believe it. After all, from the information she got from the Zhang family and her own family members, no one had indeed developed a complete pill formula. How did this Lingyu suddenly become a thing? Lingyu is not kidding. Okay. After receiving a positive answer, Liu Yuxi could no longer suppress her excitement. Tears were hidden in her eyes, and she said 3 times, God bless the Yan family. Then, she thought of something, her face changed, and she looked at Yan Lingyu and said, Does the Zhang family know about this? If you violate the 3-party contract, you will be cursed by the bloodline. Liu Yuxi was worried that the younger generation would be confused for a moment, disregard the heavenly contract, and choose to deceive the Zhang family, which would bring disaster to their own family and turn the happy event into a funeral. Yan Lingyu smiled and waved his hands. Don't worry, elders. Lingyu doesn't care about what's more important. Maybe it's the heaven's fault or the Zhang family's mistake. Lingyu didn't feel that his three-party contract was established. Lingyu, it's not affected, of course, the system can't be said. Even if you want to say it, it's hard to explain it clearly, so Yan Lingyu talked about it in the Tao aspect. The more mysterious it is, the more it can get away with it and convince people. There's such a good thing. As expected, Liu Yuxi believed it. This world is so big that there are all kinds of things. Not to mention being able to circumvent the heaven's way. It is said that there are even masters who can control the heaven's way. Are you worried that you will be attacked by the Zhang family on the way back and you can't protect yourself, so you plan to tell me the recipe first? After Liu Yuxi thought deeply for a while, he blinked his eyes and saw Yan Lingyu's thoughts. The latter secretly praised him in his heart, worthy of being his disciple taught by Yan Lingyu, appreciating each other and understanding at a glance. Yes, his idea was to keep a copy of the recipe with Liu Yuxi in case of any accidents. It stands to reason that the Zhang family and Yan Lingyu have been cooperating secretly, and the other party will not attack him so quickly. But the Zhang family has no burden to attack other members of the Yan family, and Yan Lingyu cannot just watch and ignore the attack on the family members, and is bound to attack. Once the attack is made, the Zhang family will understand that he is not really rebelling, but wants to get the Zhang family's supplies for free. At the same time, Yan Lingyu's strength will inevitably be exposed. When the old accounts are settled, Yan Lingyu will be in greater danger. As a foundation-building cultivator, Liu Yuxi has the strongest ability to save her life. After she knows the recipe of the foundation-building pill, she can ensure that this thing is taken back home, so that the Yan family will have no worries in the future. Not only that, just now, Yan Lingyu also discovered a secret. Liu Yuxi is not on the early stage of foundation building, but in the middle stage of foundation building. Because of the previous emotional imbalance, Liu Yuxi's true cultivation was briefly exposed for a moment, and Yan Lingyu, who is a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building in his previous life, keenly captured this point. Moreover, judging from the strength of his magic power, his disciple has been in the middle stage of foundation building for at least 5 years. He is really well hidden. As for why he's hiding, you can guess without even thinking about it. It is naturally to confuse the Zhang family and take advantage of their unpreparedness to hit them hard. The middle stage of foundation building is much stronger than the early stage of foundation building. A middle stage cultivator can resist 3 early stage cultivators and has the ability to kill them. At this time, Yan Lingyu was relieved. What the clan elder said is right. Lingyu has the same idea. Then you can send a message. After that, Yan Lingyu sent a message to Liu Yuxi about the pill formula in his mind, and carefully told the latter the precautions. The next morning, the rain in Peking City finally subsided. In Tuangfuan, a group of cultivators disappeared, leaving only a bag of spirit stones to pay for the room. Chapter 30, Zhang Family Attacks, Yuzai Enemy 4. The Yan family has already set off. In the narrow alleys of Peking City, Yan Lingyu sealed the message in a flying book and then passed it to a distant place. The direction in which the flying book fled was exactly the ancestral home of the Zhang family. Acting should be more realistic. Peking City is the territory of the Zhang family, and they naturally know who goes in and out of the Zhang family. So by telling the other party no news, the Yan family did not suffer any losses, and he could also show his loyalty. Of course, Yan Lingyu's purpose is not limited to this. He wants to know more about the actions of the Zhang family. Yan Lingyu sent a message, and the Zhang family assigned him a task. He could see the Zhang family's plan from the task, so that his family could be prepared to deal with it. Soon, the flying book flew back. Yan Lingyu read the message in it, pursed his lips slightly, and was a little helpless. There were only 4 words written on it, waiting for the task. This word looks ordinary, but it gives people a sense of calm before dawn. Destroy the flying book, turn out of the alley, and follow the Yan family's large army. Linking Road is the main road outside Peking City. At this time, in the drizzle and gentle sea breeze, a group of pedestrians were walking on the road at a very fast speed. The group of people looked serious and vigilant, and not a drop of rain could touch them. At the front of the team was an old woman with kind eyes and heroic spirit between her eyebrows. She was Liu Yuxi, the old man of the Yan family. She released her spiritual sense to explore the surrounding environment, then frowned slightly and said to the head of the family, Yan Jilian, beside her, something is wrong. I didn't see a patrolling imperial army or a caravan along the way. Maybe it's because of the rain yesterday, Yan Jilian replied. The woman disagreed and said coldly, it can't be because of the rain. Even if it was as heavy as yesterday, there were still people leaving the city. Today, the weather is slightly better, but no one is coming? I suspect that the state lord intervened. Only he can secretly issue the ban order. Then Liu Yuxi issued an order, asking the whole family to move forward with all their strength. So, a group of Yan family cultivators quickened their pace and walked hundreds of miles, heading towards Hefianglan, the only way for the Wei people. Yan Lingyu, who had just entered the Black Forest and was surrounded by his clansmen, felt irritated. After a few steps, a sinister voice exploded in his sea of consciousness. Kill Yan Lingyu, Yan Ji said. Yan Lingyu was shocked and instantly realized that it was the Zhang family who took action. Their target was indeed the two alchemists. In an instant, the magic power was activated and the true energy was everywhere. At the same time, Liu Yuxi's consciousness also discovered the enemy. Enemy attack, protect the younger generation to break through, she shouted, flipped her right arm slightly, and her sleeves trembled. Several sharp and long wooden cones flashing with cold light shot out towards the darkness in the distance. At the same time, Liu Yuxi's spiritual light shone brightly, like a small sun, illuminating the originally dim environment, making the despicable figures ambushing around nowhere to hide. Ding ding, the crisp sounds rang continuously, and the wooden cone did not work and was shot down. The enemy no longer concealed his weakness and began to launch an offensive. Four shadows rushed straight towards Liu Yuxi. Three of the old men could be recognized at a glance. They were the three foundation-building monks of the Zhang family, Zhang Zhengai, Zhang Zhenqi, and Zhang Qixian. They didn't say much, and they used the most ruthless moves. Swish, a blue light cut through the void and slashed towards Liu Yuxi at a speed barely visible to the naked eye. The momentum was so great that even the space was rippling. This is the Zhang family's ancestral unique skill, which is well known for its shocking waves. The offensive is as turbulent as the waves, one wave higher than the other. If you take it hard, you will be deeply trapped in the endless sword light and cannot extricate yourself. Liu Yuxi turned around and sacrificed the spiritual weapon's 7 turn-glazed beads. The beads, which were originally only the size of a bracelet, suddenly became larger. 7 beads emitting green light squeezed towards the sword light together. As soon as they touched, the sword light was shattered. The power of the spiritual weapon is so terrifying. However, the opponent showed no fear. After a slight adjustment, he attacked again. Zhang Zhengai took the lead and used the magical weapon with amazing momentum, Zaya, a water shuttle. Swoosh, the jet-black treasure shuttle disappeared in the rain. Yes, disappeared. Liu Yuxi's spiritual sense could not detect it, and even the dense raindrops did not show the figure of the treasure shuttle. The Zaya, a water shuttle, was like an elusive fish in a place with abundant water vapor. Liu Yuxi had to recall the 7 turn-glazed bead to protect her body and not give the treasure shuttle a chance to escape from the water vapor and attack. As the 7 turn-glazed bead retreated, Zhang Zhenqi and Zhang Qixian's offensive came again, and for a while, the sword flashed continuously. Liu Yuxi snorted coldly and sacrificed another magical weapon. It was an ancient peach wood sword, which was deep and dark. Holding it with one hand, it was full of vitality. This peach wood sword was called the 3 Lotus Blue Dark Sword. It was the protective magical weapon of Yan Ping, the ancestor of the Yan family. After Yan Ping passed away, it was passed to his apprentice. While the wooden sword swung, and white lotuses bloomed, blocking the 2 Zhang family members 10 meters away. At this moment, the situation between the 2 sides was somewhat stalemate. Zhang Zhengai, who was far away, saw this scene and laughed. I didn't expect that Yan Laoga's 3 Lotus Kingming sword would fall into your hands. Liu Yuxi, with your cultivation in the early stage of foundation building, can you exert 70% of the power of this middle-grade spiritual weapon? You will know if you try. Liu Yuxi's voice was cold, and then, he turned his head to look at the black-robed Taoist who had not yet made a move, and said angrily, Zhao Si. If you withdraw, I, Liu Yuxi, will let bygones be bygones this time. If you dare to make a move, I will definitely destroy your tiger gang. The rolling thunder sound directly hit the heart of the black-robed Taoist. This person is the 3rd leader of the tiger gang, Zhao Si. Zhao Si was shocked on the spot. He didn't know why Liu Yuxi could see his identity. At the same time, he was also shocked by the momentum of the old woman in front of him, and he had already retreated. Zhang Zhangai saw Zhao Ci's thoughts, cursed in his heart, and shouted angrily, "Fellow Taoist Zhao, don't be afraid, act quickly. The four of us who have established our foundation will definitely be able to kill this old woman Liu, and then the 7 turned glass beads will also be distributed to you." Zhao Ci's heart was determined. The Tiger Gang had already had conflicts with the Yan family because of the Black Mountain City incident. Now that the Zhang family is taking the lead, there is a possibility of removing the Tiger Gang's heart disease, and there is also a rich reward, so he can't retreat. Who? With a loud shout, the black robe burst. Zhao Ci showed his true body, blue veins bulged, and the rough body with a dragon coiled around, and golden light could be seen flowing on his body surface. Zhao Ci was actually a horizontal cultivator. The test of both sides ended here. After that, swords and knives crossed, fists and feet switched, Taoist methods continued, the brilliance was dazzling, and shouts continued. The battlefield of the Foundation cultivators was deliberately set in the void. Liu Yuxi did it to avoid affecting her clansmen. And the Zhang family did it to make the former alone so that they could kill him. When the clan elder Liu Yuxi was fighting 1 against 4, the other members of the Yan family were also in a tough fight. The enemies included not only the Zhang family monks, but also some unknown black-clothed men. While there were many of them, the number of people who practiced Qi at the 9th level was twice that of the Yan family, a full 6. The Zhang family alone had 5 people, which showed that their clan was worthy of being the first in Yingzhou. In addition, the monks' magic tools and various yellow-level spiritual talismans were displayed, and the Zhang family was bound to succeed in this surprise attack. Although the Yan family was at a disadvantage, they were not without the ability to resist. Their formation was perfect and the coordination was exquisite. Although they were attacked, they responded well and did not suffer any damage in a short period of time. Just as the Zhang family knew that the Yan family was prepared, the Yan family also knew that the Zhang family would take action. The two families that had been competing for 200 years finally fought for real today. Chapter 31, 2 battlefields, both have results. In the Black Plum Forest, the sound of fighting shook the sky. Although the Yan family had purchased military formations from the military and practiced them, the strength of the clansmen was uneven, and they could only exert part of the power of the military formation. In addition, the Zhang family came prepared, and various kinds of magic tools and talismans appeared in an endless stream, so the Yan family's team was quickly dispersed, and they resisted in groups of 3 or 2. The Zhang family did not choose a chaotic battle, but let the monks of corresponding cultivation levels fight against each other, that is, the 9th level of Qi training against the 9th level of Qi training, and the 7th level of Qi training against the 7th level of Qi training. In the Zhang family's plan, as long as the Zhang family's Qi training monks can delay the Yan family, after Liu Yuxi was surrounded and killed by 4 foundation-building masters, the foundation-building monks will turn to fight, and the wolf will enter the flock of sheep, and that will be the time for the Yan family to perish. The Zhang family has the advantage in numbers. If there is a chaotic battle, the 9th level of Qi training attacks the 7th level of Qi training, which can indeed quickly gain a greater advantage. But this will also increase their own losses. Clan members are not magic tools, and they can buy more if they are gone. The death of each clan member above the 5th level of Qi training is a major loss for the family. Therefore, the Zhang family chose to delay. Yan Lingyu looked around and found the direction of Yan Lingyu. At this time, his brother was in danger. He was about to go over to support him, but was stopped by a young Zhang family member. The former did not think much, and cast a spell. With a flash of sword light, a head flew into the air, and the opponent died without even a scream. Yan Lingyu is now amazingly powerful. Although he is at the 5th level of Qi training, because of the combat experience and proficiency in magic from the memories of 2 lives, he can crush the cultivators of the same level, and he is also capable of killing the 6th level of Qi training. According to his estimation, if the Hengshui spirit body is fully opened, his strength can be further improved, and he can block the 7th level of Qi training. Although he is defeated in the fight with the 8th level of Qi training, he can also retreat calmly. The battle on Yan Lingyu's side ended too quickly, and his methods were too skillful and sophisticated, which frightened the surrounding Zhang family members. This boy must be a genius of the Yan family. He has the ability to challenge others of higher levels. If he dares to kill my brother, I'll kill him first. I'll help you. 2 angry shouts, one tall and one short, Two figures leaped in front of Yan Lingyu. Judging from the momentum, they were two people at the 6th level of key training. Water vapor quickly condensed in front of them, and several water bullets were fired at Yan Lingyu in succession. Then, they used the rain of bullets to close the distance from left to right. Yan Lingyu was not in a hurry. He sprinkled and moved back, also using the water bullet technique to fight back. At the same time, the magic weapon sword in his hand shone with a sharp light. Pa pa pa, the crisp sound came, and the water bullets of both sides collided with each other. However, the incredible scene was that the water bullets shot by Yan Lingyu could penetrate the opponent's offensive and could still attack the two Zhang family members with the same power. What? A Zhang family member screamed in horror, and then was hit by the water bullet before he could dodge. Several blood holes were left on his body, and his body flew backwards under the strong impact. Before he could react, the sword shadow was in front of him. Yan Lingyu killed another person. The Zhang family member never understood until his death why the opponent's water-based magic was so powerful, even though they were using the same water-based magic. The Yan family was not known for their water-based magic. If it was said that Yan Lingyu killed the 5th level key training cultivator in seconds before, the people who were still fighting around were just surprised. But now he killed a cultivator of a higher level in seconds, and the rest of the people, especially the Zhang family members, were only terrified. They secretly wondered where this monster came from. At this time, another 6th level key training cultivator who wanted to attack Yan Lingyu retreated violently, and his fear surged in his heart. He was also injured by the opponent's water bullet just now, but fortunately the opponent was unable to split himself, so killing one person gave the other person time to leave the battlefield. Noticing Yan Lingyu's calm eyes after killing someone, the Zhang family member was even more shocked, panting, trembling, legs shaking, and turned around and ran. Because of Yan Lingyu's heroic performance, the pressure on the Yan family members around him suddenly decreased. At the same time, the Zhang family members and the black-robed man did not dare to step forward. At this time, Yan Lingyu received a voice transmission. "Little Lingyu, follow me, I will lead you to fight." The spiritual consciousness of the key training cultivator can only be projected 10 meters away, which means that the voice transmission distance is only 10 meters. Yan Lingyu quickly found the person who transmitted the voice, and it was the 8th Master Yan Jichuan. After all, Yan Jichuan was born in the military, and with the strength of the 9th level of key training, he can be regarded as the strongest person below the foundation building. He saw him split the Zhang family cultivator in front of him with a knife and came towards the clan grandson. Now the Yan family members have understood the purpose of this trip, which is to protect several alchemists, so they all intend to protect the alchemists with poor combat power. It's just that Yan Lingyu is a freak with amazing strength, and it seems that he doesn't need protection. The latter replied, "8th Grandpa, don't worry about me, hold back the Zhang family masters, I will go to save Brother Linking first." The Zhang family thought of delaying, thinking that they could get support from the foundation building cultivators, but they didn't know that the support would not come. Yan Lingyu silently glanced in the direction of Liu Yuxi, knowing that his disciple could still delay for a long time. Then, ignoring Yan Jichuan, he rushed towards his brother. Now is the time to protect as many people as possible. Bang! With a loud noise, Zhang Zhangai in the void was chopped back by Liu Yuxi's sword again. Although the latter's swordsmanship was poor, the 3 Lotus Blue Sky Sword was a mid-grade spiritual weapon after all, with great power. On the other side, the Zhang family and others were also surprised that the old woman's strength was so deep that the 4 people's siege was only slightly superior. Zhang Zhangai glanced at the key training battlefield. The Zhang family members had already suffered casualties, and he showed a trace of impatience in his heart. He knew that if there was no progress in the foundation building, the death toll of his family members would rise rapidly, and even if the Yan family was destroyed, it would not be worth the loss. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he shouted loudly, "Help me delay for a while." Zhang Zhanqi and the other 2 understood, and urged their magic power to pounce on Liu Yuxi again. Zhang Zhangai stepped back, and at the same time, his arm slightly closed, and a small tower with dazzling light appeared in his hands. This tower is called Shiangsun Linglong Tower, which is the treasure of the Zhang family and also a mid-grade spiritual weapon. But unlike the Sanlian Kingming sword in Liu Yuxi's hand, this tower is really troublesome to drive, and it takes a certain amount of time to input mana. Moreover, pagoda-type spiritual weapons are different from sword-type spiritual weapons. They cannot rely on the material of the spiritual weapon itself to fight against the enemy. The cultivators in the early stage of foundation building can only exert 60% of the effect, but in Zhang Zhanggai's view, it is enough. As long as the Sanlian Kingming sword in Liu Yuxi's hand is offset, the opponent will be a fish to be slaughtered. After a few breaths, Zhang Zhangai shouted, "You disperse, don't get hurt by mistake." The pagoda emitted 1,000 feet of light, showing a huge phantom, and smashed towards Liu Yuxi with the force of thunder. The old woman's eyes flashed, and she shouted, "Want to leave?" At the same time, she no longer had to suppress her own cultivation. The might of the middle stage of foundation building burst out instantly, suppressing the people around her. Buzz! The spiritual sword in Liu Yuxi's hand shone with a green light. With the blessing of the middle stage of foundation building mana, the power was fully output. The sword body trembled slightly and suddenly shot straight into the sky. The 7 turned glass beads on the other side were also dazzling. An irresistible suction force was released, pulling Zhang Qiqshan, who had a relatively low cultivation level. The tall and strong man saw that the pagoda's shadow was about to fall, but he could not move an inch. He did not have the cultivation of the middle stage of foundation building to resist deeply. If he took it hard, he would be seriously injured. No, the wailing broke through the sky. Although Zhang Zhangai wanted to stop, he was willing but unable. He could only watch sadly as his clansmen were hit by his own spiritual weapon. Boom, puff, the pagoda's shadow fell. Zhang Qiqshan's clothes were cracked and his skin was bleeding. He was spitting blood and fell to the ground like a kite with a broken string. It was unknown whether he was alive or dead. Chapter 32, Saving Linking, Key Training Level 6. Liu Yuxi is already in the middle stage of foundation building. She has been able to endure until now. I think she is waiting for my Zhang family to come. Seeing that his clan members were severely injured, Zhang Zhangai, the elder of the Zhang family, had red eyes, gnashed his teeth, and his hair stood on end, forcibly suppressing the anger in his heart. He realized that the current situation has changed drastically. Liu Yuxi is in the middle stage of foundation building, and has 2 spiritual weapons for self-defense. In addition, Zhang Qiqshan has lost his combat power, and the strength of the 2 sides has changed. Now what the Zhang family cultivators have to think about is no longer how to kill the other party, but how to survive from the other party. The hunter turned into the prey in an instant. Zhang Zhanggai's mind was frantic, and he planned to change his strategy. Quickly kill Yan Lingyu and Yan Jidao, and then evacuate. A voice spread in the hearts of all the Zhang family cultivators. Everyone was slightly stunned. Then, Zhang Zhangai ordered the other 2 foundation building monks, "Help me hold back this old woman." The Zhang family spent so much money to encircle the Yan family, and it was unknown how much manpower and financial resources they had spent. If they retreated without any gains, Zhang Zhangai would not be willing. Since the old ones cannot be dealt with, then the younger ones should be dealt with first. Letting the Yan family cover the rear is also an acceptable result. Because of Zhang Zhanggai's order, the Zhang family monks began to go berserk, and the Yan family members were under great pressure. A worshipper who was guarding Yan Lingyu fell down. At this time, the young alchemist was already at the end of his strength. The 2 protective magic weapons in his hands had cracks, and he was not far from being defeated. The only ones who could provide protection for him were the 5th grandfather Yan Renzhong and his grandfather Yan Jilian. But what they had to face were 2 9th-level key training masters and 2 8th-level key training masters of the Zhang family. Even though the blood-burning technique had been used, they were still covered with the wounds under the strong attack. There were no extra words between the 2 sides in the fight, only spells. Swoosh! A water arrow passed through the front row of defenses and pierced through the magic weapon beside Yan Jilian. He was horrified and turned around to fill the gap. But it was too late. A Zhang family cultivator took advantage of the gap and went around behind him, attacking the weak Yan Lingyu in the back. The silver-white spear light flashed by, and Yan Lingyu wanted to dodge, but his body seemed to be imprisoned and unable to move. He was about to become a dead soul under the spear. In a hurry, a row of super-fast water bullets hit, deflecting the spearhead of the Zhang family cultivator. 9th brother, being rescued in time, Yan Lingyu was a little surprised. He looked at the person who came and found that it was Yan Lingyu. Then he frowned slightly. Just when he was about to say something, Yan Jilian, who was not far away, took the lead and shouted, "Lingyu, hurry up, you can't help here." Because the battle was tense, Yan Jilian and the other 2 had not noticed that Yan Lingyu had a combat power beyond his peers. At the same time, the latter has a special identity and is the most important protected object of the Yan family. He cannot afford to lose him, so Yan Zhiliang is anxious to let him leave here. However, because of Yan Lingyu's joining, a new Zhang family cultivator was attracted to this battlefield. He is Zhang Pingchen, who is at the 9th level of key training. Yan Lingyu, Zhang Pingchen shouted. His body was covered in blood, and he didn't know which member of the Yan family had died in his hands. Seeing Yan Lingyu, Zhang Pingchen's eyes were fierce and he was furious. At this point, he didn't understand that the former's surrender was fake and the freeloader was real. This made Zhang Pingchen feel humiliated by his IQ, and he wanted to cut a calm boy in front of him into pieces. "Leave this kid to me, you go and deal with the other one." The words were almost squeezed out from the gap between his teeth. After Zhang Pingchen finished speaking, he didn't care about anything else and punched Yan Lingyu in the air. The aqua-blue fist shadow came towards him. The power of the 9th level of key training was too fierce. Even Yan Lingyu, who had experienced many battles, could only use the enhanced version of the water ring technique. HMPH, Yan Lingyu groaned and took a heavy punch, retreating. With just one move, he was injured. The gap between the 5th level and the 9th level of key training was still too huge. Lingyu, seeing this situation, Yan Renzhong wanted to sacrifice himself to save him, but he was delayed by the 2 9th level of key training monks in front of him and could not get away, so his efforts were in vain. Zhang Pingchen ignored everything else and continued to attack when he saw that his offensive was effective. Although killing the 9th level of key training Yan family priest had cost him a lot of mana and caused him to suffer minor injuries, reducing his combat power, it was still more than enough to deal with the 5th level of key training. After taking 2 more punches, Yan Lingyu felt his left arm was weak and there were bursts of severe pain in his abdomen. Fortunately, with the protection of the water healing technique and water scale skin blessed by the Hengshui spirit body, it did not immediately fail. It was a bit too much? Yan Lingyu smiled bitterly in his heart. Then, he took out 4 pills with overflowing spiritual energy from his sleeves, Sanking Ki Enhancement Pill. It can not only harmonize the true ki in the body of the cultivator, but also improve the cultivation. It is an enhanced version of the Nourishing Ki Pill. This thing is good in every way, but it is expensive. Yan Lingyu, as an alchemist, only has 4 of these. He bit it and swallowed it painfully. In an instant, his heart was like a big furnace, and the true ki seemed to be constantly burning. Coupled with the blessing of the system's rapid recovery of cultivation, Yan Lingyu's cultivation, which was close to the 6th level of key training, was broken through at this moment. In a blink of an eye, he was already a cultivator of the 6th level of key training. At this time, Zhang Pingchen's next attack had arrived, and he would not give too much time to digest the pills. But this time, the situation was different. The water vapor around him was shaking, constantly eliminating the power of the fist. Yan Lingyu blocked it. He could even throw out a few spells to fight back. What? Breakthrough? But why is it so strong? This is the 6th level of key training, Zhang Pingchen said in disbelief, and at the same time, he felt that something was wrong. After 2 more rounds of fighting, he was even more horrified. Although Yan Lingyu was still at a disadvantage, it was difficult to tell who would win in a short period of time. Monster, Zhang Pingchen cursed in his heart, with jealousy and hatred. This kind of cultivator who can fight against the 9th level of key training at the 6th level of key training can only be found in large sects. How come the small Yan family suddenly has one? And he is so young. Zhang Pingchen instantly understood that this boy might be a greater threat to the Zhang family than Yan Lingyu. Must be eliminated. A fair light flashed in his eyes. It seems that I have to use that thing. Zhang Pingchen's thoughts jumped, and a switch was pressed. However, before he pressed the switch, Yan Lingyu threw out something with all her strength. It was the Wang Xin shield sent by the Zhang family. The small shield was thrown in front of a member of the Zhang family. The next moment, boom, Wang Xin exploded violently, and the Zhang family member was caught off guard and crippled. What? You know that Wang Xin is a fraud? Zhang Pingchen was furious. Yan Lingyu on the other side laughed secretly. How could he accept the item sent by the Zhang family with peace of mind? If he was not special, then Zhuangxi Shumianju would be a huge trap. Knowing that the Zhang family was fierce and vicious, would they not tamper with Wang Xin? As early as the day he took over this magic weapon, Yan Lingyu discovered a blasting restriction on it. He knew that this thing was not for him. After all, At that time, he was just an unknown junior in the eyes of the Zhang family. This thing was actually going to blow up the senior members of the Yan family. This is also the reason why Zhang Pingchen did not turn on the switch at first, and only chose to use Wang Xinden when Yan Lingyu showed his extraordinary talent. At this moment, the Zhang family was missing one person, and the injured Zhang Pingchen was dragged by Yan Lingyu. For the Yan family, everything seemed to be moving in a good direction. Chapter 33, Crisis Strikes Again. A shadow falls from the sky. Zhaoxi, a roar came from the void, dispersing the rain. Zhang Zhangai was extremely angry. Just now, the helper he invited, the tiger gang Zhaoxi, retreated and ran away with the help of the powerful shock force after receiving a mysterious spell from Liu Yuxi. Originally, because Zhang Qixing's life and death were unknown, the three early foundation building cultivators had already been very strenuous against Liu Yuxi. Now, someone is still escaping, so the remaining two will face the attack of the mid-stage foundation building cultivator head-on, and the danger is doubled. At this moment, Zhang Zhangai also learned about the situation on the ground battlefield. The imagined situation of the Zhang family's crushing did not appear. The Yan family members relied on their tenacious will to block the offensive and entered a tug-of-war. Even the Zhang family's losses were a little greater. Because of the appearance of Yan Lingyu, Zhang Zhangai also wanted to kill the former for his demonic strength. But now he has the will but not the strength. Moreover, with the departure of Zhaoxi, those black-robed monks also chose to leave the battlefield. The combat power of the Zhang family was weakened again. The situation has a tendency to reverse. Zhang Zhangai understands that in this family war, his Zhang family is doomed to fail. If it continues like this, the Zhang family may be destroyed. Liu Yuxi and Yan Lingyu have forced the Zhang family's good situation to this point. Compared with the former, Zhang Zhangai is more afraid of the latter. Thinking of the previous things, whether it is the mind, means, or strength, they are also familiar. He saw the shadow of Yan Ping, the ancestor of the Yan family, in Yan Lingyu. That is a mountain that has been pressing the Zhang family for 100 years. If Yan Lingyu is allowed to grow up, the Zhang family will fall into the haze of not being able to raise their heads for 100 years. Gradually, the old man also began to have the intention to retreat and hatred in his heart. Puff! Suddenly, Zhang Zhangai bit his tongue and spit out a mouthful of blood into the Xiangsun Linglong tower in his hand. In an instant, his whole temperament became weak, and his beard and hair, which were originally white with black, all turned pale, and sweat covered his wrinkled face. This mouthful of blood consumed 10 years of Zhang Zhangai's lifespan. And the effect of his action was also remarkable. I saw that the somewhat dim spiritual tower once again emitted a dazzling light, almost illuminating the sky. At the same time, the phantom of the spiritual tower became more majestic, like a giant holding up the sky, standing between heaven and earth. At this moment, the Xiangsun Linglong Tower released 120 points of power, with great momentum. However, Liu Yuxi, holding the Sanlian Kingming sword and surrounded by the 7 turned glass beads, was not afraid at all. There was even a hint of excitement in her eyes. She knew that Zhang Zhangai was going to withdraw, which also showed that the other party was afraid. It was a good time to increase the results of the battle. Humph! Want to escape? Liu Yuxi's magic power was frantically urged, and the Kingming sword, which was only 4 feet long, suddenly grew larger, and the sword body was full of green light, and the vitality was crisscrossed, like a green dragon swimming in the sky, breaking through the air and slashing. On the other side, the 7 glass spirit beads gathered into a shield shape, constantly rotating, protecting the body, and preventing the opponent's desperate counterattack. With this attack and defense, victory is assured. In the void, the sword shadow faced the tower shadow. However, the imagined violent collision did not happen. Shui, an old arm flew high into the sky, accompanied by blood splattering. However, Liu Yuxi did not see the pain of losing his arm in the eyes of Zhang Zhangai, who was close at hand, but only madness and teasing. The opponent's strongest attack, which consumed his essence and blood, was not aimed at Liu Yuxi, but at the Yan family members below. Not good. Liu Yuxi, who had been calm from beginning to end, finally showed a look of surprise. The desperate attack of the foundation building cultivator using the middle-grade spiritual weapon, the key training cultivator could not resist at all and would die at the first touch. Liu Yuxi did not expect that Zhang Zhangai was so cruel that he dared to bet with his own life. And he bet right. Faced with the 2 options of killing Zhang Zhangai or protecting the clansman, Liu Yuxi chose the latter without hesitation. She turned around and wanted to go back to save him, but it was too late. The huge tower shadow had already smashed to the ground. Although she had the Sanlian Kingming sword, which was also a mid-grade spiritual weapon, the sharp sword was mainly used for killing and was not very useful in rescue. Lingyu, the old woman panicked and yelled out of control. Yan Lingyu and Zhang Pingchen passed each other again. Suddenly, the young man frowned. Something was wrong. The other party was deliberately keeping a distance. The people of the Zhang family were all pulling away. The young man had a bad feeling in his heart. Lingyu, just as the Yan family was still confused, a shrill voice came from above. Looking in the direction of the sound, they did not see the figure they wanted to see, but instead a dark darkness. Above the heads of the Yan family was a huge tower, covering the sky, as if to suppress them. For a moment, Yan Lingyu's face changed drastically. He wanted to move, but it was very difficult. The foundation-building aura and the pressure of the mid-grade spiritual weapon had already locked and imprisoned the Yan family. If this phantom really materialized, 90% of the Yan family members would die. Yan Lingyu stopped thinking, his chest was hot, and a talisman covered with patterns floated in front of him. The seal of the way. The thousand trees floating life art. The ancient talisman ignited without wind as soon as it appeared, even in the rain. The next moment, the earth trembled, and crisscross cracks appeared on the mud road. Green vines as thick as human waists broke out of the ground and grew upward madly. The branches climbed on each other and formed an inverted green bowl, trying to support the collapsed sky. Boom! A loud noise came, the space shook, and the tower shadow was obviously stagnant. But it was only a stagnation. Soon, under the strong pressure, the open vine net kept breaking. The Yan family was still in danger. "Open it for me." At this moment, a loud shout rang out. It was the fifth master Yan Renzhong. This old man with white hair, who didn't know where he got the strength, soared into the air under the pressure, and crashed into the tower shadow that was 100 times bigger than him with his flesh and blood. Bang! The moment the two collided, Yan Renzhong was shattered. But it was not in vain. The shadow of the giant tower faded. The scene of Yan Renzhong's sacrifice was engraved in the eyes of all the Yan family members. The fifth generation Yan Jiliang and Yan Jikun looked at each other, smiled casually, opened the forbidden blood-burning technique, freed themselves from the shackles, and soared into the sky. The heavy voice of Yan Jiliang seemed to echo between heaven and earth. "Linking, protect Lingyu for me, Grandpa." Yan Linking in the back looked extremely sad. But there was a firm light in his eyes. He listened to his grandfather's instructions and silently blocked his cousin. "Stay behind me," a low voice sounded in Yan Linking's ears. In shock, he felt his hand being clamped by a huge force, which made him feel a little painful. Then, with a huge force pulling, Yan Linking couldn't help but move his body and was dragged behind a not-so-tall back. Faintly, Yan Linking saw the iron-green and cold face of his cousin. Ninth brother, Yan Lingyu ignored him, but looked upwards, lips pursed, Hengshui spirit body running vigorously, water vapor rising from his body. He had once held Yan Renzhong in his arms, and it was he who gave him the name Yan Renzhong. Now, watching the younger generation die bravely, Yan Lingyu felt particularly uncomfortable with inexplicable emotions. He even felt a rare trace of anger towards Yan Linking, who was trying to block him. At the same time, the giant tower stopped. Chapter 34, Worth the Sacrifice, The Rising Trend. The tower shadow that threatened the tribesmen in the sky stopped. The light dimmed and almost disappeared. Then, a green light flashed. In an instant, the virtual tower was broken into pieces, and then turned into stars. After many delays, Liu Yuxi arrived. The three lotus blue sky sword continued to move downward after the broken tower shadow, grabbing two broken figures and preventing them from falling from the sky. Liu Yuxi's escape speed increased and came to the front of the tribesmen. At this time, there was no part of Yan Jiliang and Yan Jikun that was not deformed. The blood completely dyed their long gowns red. Their faces were pale and dying, close to death. They only relied on a breath of true energy to hang on to their lives. When the true energy dissipated, this kind of injury might only be cured by the legendary magic pill that could heal the dead. Is it worth it? A sigh sounded that seemed to be a question. Liu Yuxi's eyes were filled with tears. Whether it was Yan Renzhong, Yan Jikun, or Yan Jilian, she treated them as her own children. Seeing the child in such a miserable state, the old woman couldn't bear it and secretly felt pain. She knew the current situation of the two people. Not to mention answering, She couldn't even transmit the sound. She solemnly added, "It's worth it." Then she said, "When you get down there, help me tell Rinzhong that Lingyu has researched the formula for the foundation building pill." After that, Liu Yuxi forced a smile with warmth on her face. The old woman's trembling voice reached the hearts of the two Yan family members. The original twilight swept away, as if it was a last ray of light, and her face became ruddy. With Yan Lingyu's talent, it was convincing to research the formula for the foundation building pill, and they knew that the elders would not deceive them. As for other things, they didn't have time to think about it. At the last moment of their lives, the two old men who had worked hard for the Yan family for nearly 100 years were satisfied. It seemed that they had seen the future of the Yan family's prosperity. Until they closed their eyes forever. The woman endured the pain in her heart and sent the remains of the tribe member back to the ground. The younger generations of the Yan family were sad again. When Liu Yuxi returned to the sky again, Zhang Zhangai had disappeared, and even the half-crippled Zhang Qixian was rescued. The Zhang family members evacuated under the cover of the giant tower. The woman's angry heart had no vent. "Get out!" Suddenly, Liu Yuxi shouted, and the sound wave spread outward with the pressure of spiritual energy. An old man in a white robe with a kind face was forced to show up. He was Bai Yinglong, the head of the Bai family. At this time, Bai Yinglong didn't dare to look at the former at all. The strong murderous aura emanating from the other party made the head of the family tremble in his heart and sweat on his forehead. He clasped his fists and said respectfully, "The junior saw that the Yan family was in danger and wanted to help. It seems that there is no need for us this time. The junior will take his leave. Senior Liu, please accept my condolences." Leaving a word, Bai Yinglong fled with a guilty conscience amid Liu Yuxi's cold snort. He returned to the back and reunited with the Bai family members. He suddenly found that his clothes on the back were already wet, and he was secretly afraid. "Dad, are you okay?" Bai Yinglong's third son stepped forward and asked with concern. Even though they were 10 miles apart, the thrilling battle just now made the three sons tremble with fear. In response to him, Bai Yinglong sighed. "People always say that the Zhang family of Peking is vicious and the Yan family of Beatty is resolute. Now it seems that it is true." Liu Yuxi endured and cultivated himself just to deliver a fatal blow. Zhang Zhangai made a fatal blow, surrounded Wei to save Zhao, and came back to life. Every time the two families fought, they used risky moves, but they were the most appropriate actions, so that their respective clansmen could better survive in the life and death family war. Then, Bai Yinglong asked back, "Su Zhen, do you know why I brought my clansmen here today?" Bai Zizhen replied, "When the Yan and Zhang families are both injured, we will take action." Before he finished speaking, he was blocked by a sealing force. Bai Yinglong glanced nervously in the direction of Liu Yuxi, and said solemnly, "Yes, I brought my Bai family members here to observe and learn." Then, Bai Yinglong said, "In this fight between the two families, the backbone of the Yan family was hit hard, and the top leaders of the Zhang family were also injured, but the Yan family suffered more casualties. It seems that the Zhang family has gained a little, but in fact it is the Yan family that has won a small victory, because the Zhang family's goal was to encircle and annihilate Liu Yuxi and to eradicate the younger generation of the Yan family, but it did not achieve either of them. Su Zhen, if you have to provoke one of the Zhang and Yan families, which one do you choose?" Suddenly, Bai Yinglong changed the subject. After the seal was released, Bai Zizhen pondered for a moment and answered seriously, "The Yan family, because the Zhang family is too vicious, being targeted by him is like a poisonous snake waiting for an opportunity. We dare not let our guard down at any time." After listening, Bai Yinglong nodded and shook his head, sighed and said, "I thought so too. So when the Zhang family asked me to suppress the Yan family, I chose to agree, but I regretted it. Now that I have watched the Yan-Zhang battle in detail, I am even more reluctant to provoke the Yan family." This time Bai Yinglong did not let the third son speak, but continued to talk on his own. "The heroic sacrifice of Yan Renzhong and the other two is too shocking, and even makes me feel palpitations. Su Zhen, do you think this behavior is simple? Maybe you would do that for me. After all, we have a close father-son relationship, but if it is for the aunts and uncles in the clan, will you still make sacrifices without hesitation? People are selfish, even in the same big family." However, Yan Renzhong and the other two didn't. When the giant tower fell, if they had thought for even a moment, they would have missed the best opportunity. But at the critical moment of life and death, they didn't hesitate at all. "This is terrible." In their eyes, There is no individual small family, only the big family of the clan. In a family, there will inevitably be disagreements and intrigues for interests. Even the current Dacian royal family is the same, but the Yan family is different. Excluding a small number of clansmen like Yan Renming, the Yan family is united and has a common goal, working together. If such a family with a united heart cannot be directly suppressed with thunder and lightning, then it will be like tough grass and stone, tenacious and unstoppable. Its rise is unstoppable. After listening to his father's words, Bai Su was really shocked. Seeing the other parties worry, Bai Yinglong instead showed a relieved smile. Don't worry, the rise of the Yan family may be a good thing for us. The head of the Bai family looked up at the distant sky and murmured, Yingzhao is too small, too isolated and too weak. It urgently needs a transcendent large force to drive the development of Yingzhao and connect Yingzhao with other states and counties. Originally, I thought it was the Zhang family that had this ability, so when the Zhang family asked us to suppress the Yan family together, I agreed. However, the Zhang family's ambition is not proportional to his ability. Now it seems that the Yan family has a better chance of accomplishing this. Although we have had a feud with the Yan family, we can still make amends. It depends on whether we can handle it properly afterwards and whether we can take advantage of the Yan family. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Zhang Family Leaders Think About Change, Lu Family Development Path. Zhang Family. Zhang Zhangai woke up from his coma, and in front of the bed was an old servant who was taking care of him. When the old servant saw the former wake up, he excitedly shouted to the outside of the door, Master, the ancestor is awake. Then, Zhang Kaiming, the head of the Zhang family, and Zhang Zhenqi, a foundation-building cultivator, entered the house anxiously. Dad, are you okay? Zhang Kaiming asked with concern. Zhang Zhangai wanted to get up, but he lost his balance because his left arm disappeared. Fortunately, with the help of the servant, he barely sat up from the bed. At the same time, he felt that the true energy in his body was abnormally disordered, and he might fall into a lower realm at any time. But Zhang Zhangai didn't care about these, but asked in a tense voice, how is the Yan family? Is Yan Lingyu and Yan Lingyu dead? Although he was the one who launched the fatal attack, he was unconscious at the time and didn't know what happened next. No, they are still alive, Zhang Zhanqi on the side answered and explained the matter of Yan Renzhong's sacrifice. Ah, I didn't expect the Yan family to be so resolute. After a heavy sigh, Zhang Zhangai leaned against the bedside more decadently, his eyes full of haze, and the whole person seemed to have aged 10 years. But he was an elder of the family after all, and he quickly cheered up and continued to ask, how are the casualties in our family? How is Kikshan? A total of 9 people above the 5th level of key training died, including 4 worshippers, 5 direct family members, and the rest of the participants were injured, but fortunately there were no losses in the 9th level of key training. The situation of the Yan family should be similar, but with Yan Renzhong, they have lost a total of 2 9th level of key training. The number of 9th level key training cultivators is very important for a family. He is related to the foundation of the family's future foundation building cultivators. Zhang Zhanqi continued, Kikshan's injuries are still stable. After all, the Zhuanshan Linglong Tower is a treasure of my Zhang family. He still held back when attacking people with Zhang family blood, but Kikshan is still unconscious. These are 2 good news, but Zhang Zhangai is not happy at all. He would rather use 2 9th level key training cultivators in exchange for the lives of the 2 young people of the Yan family. The current situation can only be considered barely acceptable. The core strength of the Yan family has disappeared. According to the cultivation speed of ordinary key training cultivators, the Zhang family has more than 10 years of operation time. Zhang Zhangai glanced at the 2 clansmen in front of him and said with some frustration, I still underestimated the strategy and courage of the Yan family. Originally, I thought that in order to protect the real alchemy genius Yan Lingyu, the Yan family built up momentum for Yan Lingyu and was on the 1st level, and we saw through it and used the trick to attack the east and west, so we stood on the 2nd level, but the Yan family is actually on the 5th level. What they really want to cover up is Yan Lingyu's talent in cultivation. Compared with this, Liu Yuxi's hidden cultivation is not worth mentioning. Zhang Zhangai felt that the Yan family's top leaders were particularly insidious and cunning. and this kind of chain trick was difficult for ordinary people to see through. At the same time, the old man felt frustrated. He finally understood why his grandfather Zhang Jingzhang, who was so great, was so afraid of the newly established Yan family. They even passed down the family motto that if the Yan family showed signs of decline, the Zhang family would take advantage of their weakness to kill them. Now Zhang Zhangyi has a deep understanding of this. Father, I don't think Yan Lingyu can grow up, but he has the Zhuangxi Shumianju, Zhang Kaiming, the head of the Zhang family, disagreed, with the cold light in his eyes. Zhang Zhangyi was a little dazed, as if he saw a glimmer of hope. It would be great if Yan Lingyu's future was ruined because of practicing Zhuangxi Shumianju. Then he shook his head again, thinking that with the wisdom of the Yan family, they might be able to see the trap and prevent the younger generation from practicing. If you hold too much hope, you will be easily disappointed. The Zhang family has to rely on themselves to trip up the Yan family. But according to the current situation, this matter is a little difficult to accomplish. After this war, the Zhang and Yan families are destined to be incompatible. Either you die or I die, but the Yan family is now showing signs of rising, and the new generation of the Zhang family is worrying. Maybe in a few decades, it will be the Yan family's army that is pressing on. The Zhang family must prepare early. Zhang Zhangyi closed his eyes and pondered for a while, then gave an order. In the past few years, before Kixing and I recovered from our injuries, if we encountered disputes with the Yan family, we should give in if possible, and try not to anger Liuxi. That old woman is in the middle stage of foundation building, and no one in the Zhang family can stop her now. Our Zhang family focuses on recuperation. Then, Zhang Zhangyi looked at the head of the family, as if he had made a difficult decision, and said, Kaiming, in the next few years, take out some spiritual stones to cultivate orphans with spiritual roots. This, Zhang Kaiming and Zhang Zhangyi were a little surprised. They understood Zhang Zhangyi's intention, because the new generation of the Zhang family was in a slump, and fresh blood must be injected to avoid a generational gap. But as these orphans grow up, it is not certain whether they will always be loyal to the Zhang family, but one thing is certain, this will inevitably affect the Zhang family's pattern and the purity of their bloodline. Moreover, cultivating orphans also costs a lot of resources, which ordinary families cannot afford. Only the Zhang family is rich and powerful, and can think of a way. But it is hard to say whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. There is no construction without destruction. We in the Zhang family need to make some changes. Zhang Zhangyi's tone was firm and unquestionable. He continued, send a few clansmen to other states and counties, let them branch out and see if they can achieve some achievements and find a new foundation for our Zhang family. Zhang Kaiming nodded, although he was reluctant to leave Peking City where he had lived for a long time. But it is better to be safe than sorry. What if the Yan family really rises with the help of Liuxi, the cultivation genius and the alchemy genius? His Zhang family is not the same as before, and it is time to consider a way out. Then, a trace of viciousness flashed in Zhang Zhangyi's eyes, licked his lips, and said sinisterly, also, tell the big forces in the neighboring states and counties about the Yan family. If necessary, you can exaggerate. I think these forces are also worried that there is a tiger gradually awakening next to their bed, and they will not be able to resist taking action against the Yan family. This is a risky move. If it is implemented well, it will be like driving a tiger to swallow a wolf. If there is a mistake, it may bring disaster to itself. But the Zhang family can't care so much. The wolf has shown its fangs. On the other side, the Lu family, one of the four families in Yingzhou, also received news of the battle between Yan and Zhang. Unlike the Zhang and Bai families, Liuxi, the elder of the Lu family, did not have much fear, but rather gloated over the misfortune. The Lu family was small and had always remained neutral. Decades ago, it had close contacts with the Yan family. With the rise of the Yan family, the Lu family might be able to get a share of the pie. In the hall, Liuxi smiled at the clan members and said, Zhang Zhangyi is going to be defeated now. That old ghost is too cruel and stubborn. He doesn't understand that if a family wants to develop, it doesn't necessarily have to suppress dissidents. There are other ways. For example, hug thighs. The Lu family has been wavering for 200 years. This is because they can't see which family is better, Zhang or Yan, and dare not bet completely. But now the situation is different. The rise of the Yan family is unstoppable. Therefore, the Lu family can join the game. Hengshui, your daughter is of marriageable age. It's time to find a good husband for her. I think Yan Lingyu from the Yan family is a good choice. Let them hang out more. If Yan Lingyu is devoted to Taoism, Yan Lingyu is also a good choice. Also, the Yan family will hold a funeral soon. You should go there and give a more expensive gift. Well, I happen to have a top-grade magic weapon orb, that's it. Don't feel bad about it, just think of it as a dowry. Chapter 36, Clan members gather together to commemorate the ancestral hall. After the battle with the Zhang family, the Yan family cleaned up the battlefield and returned home overnight. Facing the remains of the family members, the Yan family fell into grief. There were 5 members of the Yan family who died this time: Yan Renzhong, Yan Jilian, Yan Jikun, Yan Yingke, and Yan Yinghen. There were also 4 worshippers, one of whom was a 9th level key training cultivator. Under Liu Yuxi's instructions, the worshippers' families were given generous compensation, and it was decided that the Yan family would support the other party's children, hoping that those warriors who lost their lives for the Yan family could rest in peace. In the next 7 days, a funeral was held in the Yan family's ancestral home in Beatty City. The ceremony was very simple. Since the first generation of ancestor Yan Ping, the Yan family has not been in the business of holding a big funeral. During these 7 days, the Yan family sealed the door and prohibited all outsiders from entering. Even the guests who came to announce the death of the Bai and Lu families were refused entry. The other party could only wait for 7 days until the funeral was over. In the Yan family ancestral hall, all the Yan family members who could come were already here, and everyone looked lonely. At this time, several martyrs have been buried, and now is the last step of the ceremony, presenting the spirit tablets and offering sacrifices to the ancestors. Among the crowd, Yan Lingyu was dressed in plain linen clothes, with a bitter face, looking absent-mindedly at the spirit tablets of the clan members on the altar. The spirit tablet of Yan Ping was naturally the first, and there was also the first-generation grandmother. After that, it was the second-generation Yan Zhongmao, Yan Shulin, and their respective wives. Then came the third-generation Yan Zhuangsu, Yan Zhaok. Yan Su was not here. Since he lost the Black Mountain City, he called himself a sinner of the Yan family and would not be included in the clan hall after his death. Then came the 4th generation Yan Renji, Yan Renhuan, Yan Renzhong. Now, the names of the 5th and 6th generations of clan members began to appear on it. Yan Lingyu only felt trance and absurd, with a kind of faint pain of the old sending the young. He thought to himself that if his Hengshui spirit body had been fully opened at the beginning, he might have been able to exchange the lives of Yan Renzhong and others at the cost of sacrifice. In his opinion, at the moment of life and death, no one is more valuable. This is an instinctive desire to protect. Just like when disaster strikes, parents instinctively leave the hope of life to their children, even if their children will have difficulty surviving because of the loss of their parents. Love contains too many unexplainable things in it. At the same time, Yan Lingyu was a little panicked. He can reincarnate infinitely, but his clansmen, his relatives and friends, and his children cannot. When he wakes up one day after reincarnation, he will find that Liu Yuxi, Yan Lingyu, Yan Lingyu and other familiar people have also turned into a sign, standing in the Yan family ancestral hall. Yan Lingyu will inevitably feel sad and regretful. And this kind of regret and pain, he will experience it again after each reincarnation. Maybe it only takes a few reincarnations, and this kind of pain of separation between two lives will make Yan Lingyu collapse. After all, he has not reached the point of cutting off love and hatred and not recognizing his relatives. It would be great if the whole clan could live forever. Suddenly, an idea popped up in Yan Lingyu's mind, which scared him. Then, he changed his mind and thought, why not let the whole clan live forever? As long as everyone is Yuanying and Liangsu, isn't it enough? Slowly, a flame that is difficult to extinguish rose in Yan Lingyu's heart. He wants to bring the Yan family to the top of the world. In front of Yan Lingyu was the kneeling Yan Yinglian. At this time, the latter looked very haggard, as if he had not closed his eyes or eaten for 7 days, with tears all over his face, and he lowered his head, not daring to look up at the family tablet. Yan Yinglian was overwhelmed by endless guilt. His father, Yan Jikun, died right in front of him. And the last time he and his father got along, they spent it in a quarrel. Yan Jikun's greatest wish in his life was that Yan Yinglian could marry the daughter of the princess, give birth to a fat grandson, and bring a big backer to the Yan family. However, he could no longer see it. At this time, Yan Yinglian only felt that he was unfaithful and unfilial. The elders of the family provided him with so much help, But because he was greedy for pleasure and freedom, he lived in vain for more than 40 years and did not do anything for the family or contribute a bit. Originally, he didn't understand why his father always talked about family. Until he saw Yan Hong and other elders of the family generously sacrifice themselves, he understood. Because this is a group of people who are willing to sacrifice for you. Only when the family is strong can individuals develop steadily. Because the family is supporting him from behind, he, Yan Yinglian, can go around without worries. At this moment, Yan Yinglian woke up. In the Yan family ancestral hall, there was a tall and strong figure sitting cross-legged with bright eyes. Next to him was a handsome young man who was crying. Yan Yingzhao, the son of Yan Zhiliang and the biological father of Yan Lingyu, has been guarding the Yan family's spiritual mine all year round. Even when he went to Zhang's house this time, he didn't come back. But his father's death forced him to return to the clan. At the same time, this iron-blooded man was also worried about his only son, Yan Lingyu. He was busy with family affairs outside in his early years. Yan Lingyu has been getting along with his grandfather since he was a child, and the relationship between grandfather and grandson is even higher than that between father and son. Therefore, Yan Lingyu's sadness at this time is conceivable. Yan Yingzhao transmitted the message, Lingyu, I heard from the elders that your grandfather was content and smiling when he passed away, and that sacrificing for the family has always been the old man's long-cherished wish. You don't have to be too sad. Your grandfather doesn't want to see you crying like this. Think about what he said to you before. Yan Lingyu's sobbing body shook violently. The scene where Yan Zhiliang asked him if he was willing to sacrifice for Yan Lingyu appeared in his mind again. He also thought of his grandfather's heroic act of not sparing his life to protect the clan members. In an instant, Yan Lingyu understood a lot. Family is both a burden and a power. Knock knock knock, the sound of kowtows echoed in the ancestral hall. In front of the ancestors of the family, every member of the Yan family had feelings in their hearts. Then, Liu Yuxi lit 3 incense sticks and led the clansmen to shout, Ancestors, bless the Yan family to be prosperous and safe, long-lasting and prosperous for thousands of generations. Ancestors, bless the Yan family to be prosperous and safe, long-lasting and prosperous for thousands of generations, the clansmen responded. With the funeral over, the Yan family finally began to entertain guests. The top leaders of the major forces in Yingzhou all came to give gifts and condolences. Among them, the most valuable gifts were from the Bai family and the guests of the State Lord's mansion, each of whom took out a low-grade spiritual weapon. Needless to say, the former had been in constant friction with the Yan family for 100 years, and reconciliation required sacrifice. As for the latter, if there were imperial guards patrolling on Linking Road at the beginning, the Zhang and Yan families might not have fought each other, and where those Yingzhou imperial guards went, I'm afraid only the State Lord knew. The Zhang family and the Tiger Gang, 2 of the 5 major forces in Yingzhou, did not send anyone. If the Zhang family, the culprit, had really sent someone, he would have been beheaded outside the city gate by the Yan family before entering Beatty City. Naturally, the Yan family did not send anyone to the Zhang family's funeral. The reason why the Tiger Gang did not send anyone was that the gang was disbanded the day after the Zhang-Yan War. Because of the actions of Zhao Si, the 3rd leader of the Tiger Gang, the Yan family and the Tiger Gang became enemies. And because Zhao Si fled without caring about the Zhang family's allies, he was also hated by the Zhang family. The Tiger Gang was not as united as the family forces, but a loose organization. Now that it has provoked 2 major forces at the same time, it can no longer stay in Yingzhou. Disbanding the gang in time can also be regarded as a quick response by the leader of the Tiger Gang. Chapter 37, 5 years, changes in the Yan family. Time will smooth out all wounds. 5 years passed in a hurry. Beatty City, Yan family. In the morning, the water vapor is steaming, everything is revived, the insects are chirping, and the birds are singing, full of vitality. Squeak, the wooden door slowly opened, and a handsome man with a jade face and a straight figure walked out of the house. However, he stretched his waist, looked at the vast, blue and white sky, took a deep breath, and then slowly exhaled, with a hint of laziness in his eyes. This person is Yan Lingyu. Walking out of his own courtyard and looking at the still closed door opposite, Yan Lingyu sighed softly. I don't know how Lingyan is doing, and she doesn't know how to send a message back to report that she is safe. It has been 5 years since Yan Lingyu went out to venture. Even when the Yan family was in turmoil, she was not seen. If it weren't for her natal soul lamp, the clan members would have thought that she had met with misfortune. Moreover, the candlelight of Yan Lingyu's soul lamp has been dim and flickering from time to time recently. Perhaps she is in danger, which makes the clan members even more worried. Big sister, a beautiful woman walked towards them through a narrow corridor. She had a graceful figure and a mature aura. She was holding a baby boy in her arms who kept looking around. His face was rosy. He would be a handsome boy when he grew up. His chubby little hands were in his mouth and sucking, which was very lovable. The beautiful woman was Yan Lingyu's eldest sister Yan Lingyu. This former one of the two beauties of the Yan family was also married. Her husband, Lin Hao, was a well-known casual cultivator. Less than 2 years after they got married, they gave birth to a big fat boy. According to Bone Touching, his spiritual roots were also detected. Thus, the first 8th-generation member of the main family of the Yan family was born and named Lin Nianling. Ninth brother, are you going to Xianyang Pavilion again? Said the eldest sister Yan Lingyu with a smile. Yes, there are a batch of custom orders for elixirs over there. I'll go over and take a look, Yan Lingyu replied. Xianyang Pavilion is a trading place established by the Yan family itself. 5 years later, the two brothers Yan Lingyu and Yan Lingyu have become masters of alchemy, and can refine a variety of elixirs needed by Kigan monks. In addition, the Yan family has been growing in recent years, and Xianyang Pavilion, a brand that started with elixirs, has also entered the surrounding cities and counties. As the elixirs produced by the Yan family become more and more popular, Lingyu and Lingyu are also busier. Of course, Yan Lingyu, who lives behind the scenes, will be relatively free. Yan Lingyu, the only master of alchemy in the Yan family, has suffered and cannot leave Xianyang Pavilion all year round. In the past 5 years, it is not only the brothers Yan Lingyu who have changed, but in fact, the entire Yan family has undergone great changes. 3 years ago, the 4th-generation ancestor of the Yan family, Yan Ren, also died of old age. In the same year, his son, the 8th master Yan Jichuan, broke through the Kigan and became a foundation-building monk, helping the Yan family to rise to a higher level. Later, Yan Jichuan joined the Dacian imperial army again, and made continuous military exploits. He would bring his comrades back every year to meet the elders of the clan. The Yan family also had a relationship with the Dacian imperial army. As the previous head of the Yan family died in battle, the position of the head of the Yan family also changed. First, Liu Yuxi temporarily took over as the head of the family and survived the year of the Yan family's swaying. Then, Yan Yingzhao, the son of Yan Jilian, inherited the position of the head of the family. Yan Yingzhao's ability to manage the family was better than his father. In just 4 years, the Yan family successively recovered Hengshui city and Kitchen, and managed the 2 new cities in an orderly manner, so that the monks and mortals in the city accepted the Yan family, and the Yan family once again became the largest force in Yingzhou. It was precisely because the Yan family's territory expanded suddenly that even Yan Lingyu had to personally manage some family affairs, such as the management of the Xianyang Pavilion and Beiti City. As for the Xianyang Pavilion in Kitchen and Hengshui City, they were managed by the 5th master Yan Jidao and Yan Lingyu respectively. Speaking of Yan Lingyu, that fish-headed guy, although his daily life was busy, he also lived a different life. Because he and Lu Qinglian, the daughter of the Lu family, were in love, they were very close. Whenever the clan members asked Yan Lingyu when he would get married, he would blush and pretend to be ignorant. He must be afraid of his wife. The one who had changed the most in the Yan family was Yan Lingyu's 4th uncle Yan Yinglian. He was originally a playboy, but after the battle between Yan and Zhang, he seemed to have become a different person. He no longer went out to have fun, but stayed in the clan steadily, practicing hard and contributing to the family's affairs. Unexpectedly, after Yan Yinglian's body and mind were purified, his cultivation had made rapid progress, breaking through the shackles one after another, reaching the 9th level of key training, making up for the lack of fighting power in the Yan family. But because of this, there were often fallen girls outside the gate of the Yan family looking for him, saying that they wanted to ask for an explanation. It would have been fine if he had just asked for an explanation, but Yan Yinglian did not deal with it himself, and he sent the younger generation to help him wipe out this romantic debt. Big sister, when I come back from Xianyang Pavilion, I will bring a bodybuilding pill for my nephew. A good body must be cultivated from childhood. Looking at the baby babbling and shaking his arms and legs to be hugged, Yan Lingyu also felt doting. Maybe it was because he had lived for a long time. Yan Lingyu had no resistance to her own newborn, and almost obeyed everything and tried to give him good things. This is not good. I'm afraid the head of the family will lecture you. Yan Lingxin's eyebrows trembled slightly, not wanting to embarrass her cousin. It doesn't matter, at worst I can make a furnace myself. Yan Lingyu still had a smile on her face and continued to tease little Nianling. The beautiful woman was also happy to hear this. She knew the ability of her cousin very well. Most clansmen had to line up for a week to find him to make pills. Yan Lingxin smiled and looked at the baby in her arms and said, "Good Nianling, why don't you thank Uncle Jiu?" Little Nianling seemed to understand, and her crystal clear eyes fluttered non-stop. Ha ha ha. Alchemy Hall on the top floor of Xianyang Pavilion. Yan Lingyu exhaled a breath of turbid air and completed the refining of one furnace and one combination of forging soul pills. Nowadays, Yan Lingyu can refine 5 yellow-level middle-grade pills like one combination of forging soul pills in one furnace, and maintain a success rate at more than 95%. This is the effect of excellent alchemy talent. The recipe of the foundation building pill that the Yan family has been thinking about was also studied when Yan Lingyu became an alchemy master. As expected, the main medicine is indeed one of the 2 flavors he deduced in the Zhang family. Unfortunately, it is Winnowen wood. Winnowen wood is difficult to obtain. There are only 4 or 5 plants in Yingzhou in a year, so if you want to mass produce, it is also difficult for a good cook to cook without rice. The idea of exchanging foundation building pills for spirit stones has also become a bubble. The annual production capacity of 2 pills is the limit of the Yan family. These foundation building pills are not enough for the family members, so how can they be sold? The harvest in alchemy is quite fruitful, and Yan Lingyu's progress in cultivation is also exaggerated. 5 years later, he upgraded from the original 6th level of key training to the 8th level. He had a hunch that it would take only 2 weeks to advance to the 9th level. At this time, he was only 24. Among the 7 generations, his cultivation level was already ahead, and he had even surpassed many of the 6 generations. At the same time, as his cultivation progressed, Yan Lingyu suddenly felt the specialness of Zhuangzi Shumianju. After he switched to this technique, his own true ki was much stronger than that of his peers. Perhaps this was the reason why the early practice of Zhuangzi Shumianju was slow, and it laid a solid foundation for those who practiced it. A tall building rises from the ground, and with a solid foundation, the foundation building and golden elixir can be smoother in the future. Moreover, thanks to the fame of Xianyang Pavilion, the Yan family can also collect rare spells. For example, the Water Star 8 Steps and Zhuanshan technique that Yan Lingyu is practicing now are both excellent yellow-level upper-grade spells. The low-level spells such as the Water Bullet technique are no longer suitable for Yan Lingyu now. Zhuangzi Shumianju does not have its own yellow-level spells. Therefore, these 2 superior techniques can fill the gap in time. Chapter 38 Xianyang Pavilion, Auction. The auction of Xianyang Pavilion will be held this month, today? Oh no, I don't have enough spirit stones on me. I have to go back to the clan to get some. I don't know if I can make it in time. Then you dare to delay? I heard that the finale is a panacea that can help build the foundation. What? There is such a thing. The Yan family is indeed rich and powerful. They can also take out such items for auction. Fellow Taoist Mu, help me get a good seat. I'll be back soon. Outside the majestic Xianyang Pavilion in Beatty City, 2 monks were talking. One of the monks in a tall hat suddenly showed a look of surprise, and then left in a hurry. When the monk surnamed Mu saw the former leave, he wanted to turn around and enter the pavilion. At this time, a slightly immature arm pulled him. The monk surnamed Mu turned around and saw that the other party was an unkempt and somewhat thin boy, but from the boy's momentum, he was also a monk, but his cultivation was not high. The young man bowed and saluted, then asked in confusion, "Senior, is this the Xianyang Pavilion of the Beidian family?" There is only one Xianyang Pavilion in Beatty City. Seeing that the other party was quite humble and polite, and was a young junior, Taoist friend Mu patiently answered. Then can anyone enter the auction that Senior Mu mentioned before? How is that possible? The quality of the auction held by Xianyang Pavilion is considered top-notch in the entire Yingzhou, and you must pay an entrance fee. The young man frowned and asked anxiously, "How much silver is needed?" "Silver? That's for mortals. The entrance fee is spirit stones, and the lowest level requires 2 spirit stones." "Boy, where did you come from? You don't even understand this." I see that you have cultivation. Go back and ask your family before you come out to venture." The young man was too ignorant, which made the cultivator surnamed Mu lose his patience. After giving advice, he ignored the former and passed by. "This glowing stone is the so-called spiritual stone, right?" The young man, who was stunned in the spot, took out something from his pocket and muttered. The boy's name was Yan Xin. He grew up in Shangni village, 100 miles outside Beatty City. His parents died early, and he was alone since childhood. However, Yan Xin was never bullied. In fact, the elders in the village loved him very much and taught him to read and write. There was even a poor casual cultivator passing by who saw that he had spiritual roots and gave him the method of cultivation. It was only when he grew up that he realized that the villagers took such good care of him, not because of anything else, but just because his surname was Yan. The Yan family is the most prestigious force within 1,000 miles of Beatty City. The casual cultivator also wanted to make a good relationship with the Yan family. At that time, Yan Xin thought he was really a member of the Yan family scattered outside. Until he found a Yanjia village, but there was no trace of him in the Yan family's secular genealogy. He realized that he just happened to have the surname Yan. However, it was precisely because of this that Yan Xin was more grateful. His stable growth was inseparable from the grace of the Yan family, and he wanted to repay this grace. He began to inquire about the news of the Yan family. The more he knew, the more he yearned for the Yan family. He admired two members of the Yan family. One was Yan Ping, the ancestor of the Yan family. Yan Ping, like him, was born in a small village, but the former created such a prominent family power by his own efforts. The other was Yan Lingyu, the current Yan family's prodigy. 5 years ago, Yan Lingyu was only 19 years old, but he was already a 6th-level key training cultivator. What's more terrifying is that he can fight with a 9th-level key training cultivator. Yan Xin is also a cultivator. Although he is only at the 1st level of key training, he knows the difficulty of challenging a higher level with the same background. He can only admire him. It was also because of this that Yan Xin had the idea of going to the main house of the Yan family. He could not see the ancestor Yan Ping. But Yan Lingyu, a man of the hour, still had a chance to meet him. Deeply influenced by the deeds of the Yan family, especially the strong character of the Yan family, Yan Xin couldn't help but feel a little desire in his heart. How great it would be if he was really a member of the Yan family. How glorious it would be. So, he came to Beatty City, wanting to report to the Yan family. Taking a deep breath, Yan Xin's eyes were firm, and he followed into the Xianayan pavilion. Maybe he couldn't afford any item, but it was good to see the world. After paying the only 2 spirit stones, he followed the maid to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor of the Xianayan pavilion was particularly spacious. Because of the minimum standard admission fee, Yan Xin could not enter the private room and could only sit in the audience seats of the auction venue, and it was the last row. At this time, the auction was about to begin, and the venue was already crowded. The voices of the various cultivators communicating continued to come. I heard that the patriarch of the Bai family is in the 4th room of Yan. What? The patriarch of the Bai family came here in person? What's the matter? Look, there are people from the Zhang family in the compartment over there. The Zhang family from Peking? They dare to come? Aren't they afraid that the cultivators of the Yan family will kill them and take away the treasure, leaving them penniless? I can only say that the items the Yan family brought out this time are too precious. They can assist in foundation building, so the major family forces are naturally flocking to them. After all, those who sell foundation building pills are only seen once every 2 or 3 years, and they are always sold at sky-high prices. Tell me, where did the Yan family get this thing? It stands to reason that such rare treasures usually only appear at the official auction of Daqian, and private auctions are bought secretly, not traded or auctioned. Could it be that the Yan family developed it themselves? It is rumored that there is a residual recipe for foundation building pills in Yingzhou. Even if the possessor cannot restore the complete foundation building pill, it is possible to figure out other auxiliary foundation building pills. If this is true, the rise of the Yan family is unstoppable, and even other forces have to follow the lead of the Yan family. Is it too late to become a Yan family worshipper now? It looks difficult. I heard that the threshold for the Yan family's gatekeeper has been raised to the 2nd level of key training. What? The 2nd level of key training can only be the gatekeeper of the Yan family? The 2nd level of key training is considered an elder in my family. That's your family, don't bring it up to embarrass yourself. Yan Xin, who was standing aside, pricked up his ears and listened. When he heard everyone bragging about the Yan family, he also smiled and straightened his back, as if he was a member of the Yan family, being praised and feeling proud. When he heard the threshold for joining the Yan family, Yan Zhen was shocked again, a little depressed, worried about whether he could enter the Yan family. After all, he was only at the first level of key training. While his mind was rippling, the auction of Xianyan Pavilion officially began. The back curtain rose in the center of the venue, and a beautiful female host walked out. The female host had a sweet voice and an attractive figure. It was hard to tell her cultivation level, but she made people feel good about her. The female host smiled and began her opening speech. I am the host of this auction, Yan Lingyu. On behalf of the Yan family, I would like to thank all of you for your presence. I would also like to guarantee that every spiritual object in this auction has been carefully selected by the Yan family and will not disappoint you. Then, let me read out the rules of this auction as usual. Okay, without further ado, the auction begins now. Please welcome our first item, a top-grade yellow magic weapon, the Fiery Cloud Blade. This sword is produced by the Fiery Sect, a casting sect in Liuhuo County. The starting price is 500 spirit stones. Each increase in price must be no less than 10, 500, 550, 580. Chapter 39, Small Foundation Building Pill, Extra Wealth. At the auction, as the items were sold one by one, Yan Lingchang's smile on her rosy face became even more intense, and she looked charming and gorgeous. These items were all expensive, and the Yan family would charge a 5% handling fee. Just these handling fees alone made the Yan family a fortune. Zhuan level spiritual material, 10 kilograms of Xiangang stone, 2,300 spiritual stones, yellow level top grade spiritual medicine, a box of body protecting and forging ointment, 2,600 spiritual stones, yellow level top grade magic weapon, Zhuangxing 12 meridian swords, 3,130 spiritual stones, Zhuan level low grade skills, Qingmu Cheng Hengguang, 3,650 spiritual stones. As the auction process was coming to an end, the host Yan Lingchang stepped down and replaced him with an old man. I am Sumo. This person was the alchemist of the Yan family, Master Sumo. Because of his appearance, the atmosphere in the venue was stagnant at first, and then became more and more excited. Everyone understood that the finale was about to appear. Sumo took out a brocade box from his sleeves and opened it. In the brocade box, there lay a white pill as white as jade. The patterns on the pill were clear, which showed the high level of alchemy. A faint milky white spiritual smoke was emanating from the pill. As soon as the box was opened, the fragrance of the pill was refreshing. All signs showed that this pill was definitely not ordinary. At this moment, everyone's eyes were attracted by the small pill. Seeing that the venue had a very good effect, Sumo continued to speak. This pill is called the Foundation Pill. After multiple appraisals by several alchemists of my Yan family and consulting ancient books, it was finally confirmed that this pill was real, and its medicinal properties were recorded in the Hengshui Beidanjing. The Foundation Pill is suitable for taking when breaking through the shackles of foundation building, and can increase the success rate of foundation building by another 20%. Boom! As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was in an uproar. Some people with weak concentration were so excited that their true ki rioted. Fortunately, the formation in the auction house was excellent and shocked them, so there was no chaos. In Yanxi's single room, the head of the Bai family was surprised. Foundation pill? Isn't this a specialty pill of the Great Shang dynasty? Has it spread to Daqian? Zhuanai continent is vast and boundless, and there are thousands of spiritual creatures growing there, but the classification of spiritual creatures is restricted by geographical location. For example, there is a spiritual grass called Xianaya grass, which only grows in Xianaya County of the Great Jin dynasty, and there is no record of this thing in other territories. Because the climatic conditions in different places are different, the production of spiritual materials is different, resulting in different types of pills. Just as the Foundation Pill is a unique pill of the Great Jin dynasty, the Foundation Pill is unique to the Great Shang dynasty. This pill can directly increase the success rate of foundation building by 20%, even the Foundation Pill only increases by 40%. This pill can be called a small foundation pill. If my Bai family gets it and makes more preparations, maybe another foundation cultivator will be born in the clan. The Bai family is mainly engaged in business, and they are more familiar with the customs of various countries. It was also by chance that they learned about this foundation pill. At that time, the Bai family thought, How great it would be if the foundation pill could be introduced to Dekian. There is no other reason. This kind of pill is cheap. And one more pill can also give Kigan cultivators one more choice. It is of great help to small forces. As for why it was not introduced, it is probably related to the interests of the two countries. But it is not uncommon for a few pills to appear occasionally in Dakian. The head of the Bai family felt at ease and wanted to buy this thing as much as possible. I wonder where the Yan family got this pill from. The Bai family smelled a business opportunity. On the other side, in Shiner's single room, there was a thin old man in this room. He was the alchemist of the Zhang family. Originally, the Zhang family did not intend to send anyone to prevent the Yan family from cheating, but the spiritual medicine that assists in foundation building is too tempting, and the Zhang family has its own foundation pill formula. Maybe they can get inspiration from it and improve the foundation pill formula. So, the Zhang family sent the thin old man to inquire about the news. The thin old man's eyes widened, and he kept observing the miraculous pill through the void. Then he took a deep breath and said to himself, "This pill is indeed real, and it is somewhat similar to the foundation building pill. The foundation building pill and the foundation building pill may have some connection. We must take it and bring it back to the clan for research." The old man's eyes flashed. When it comes to money, his Zhang family has never been afraid of anyone, even the Yan family, which is now at its peak. Suddenly, he frowned and wondered secretly, foundation building pill, did someone in the Yan family circumvent the three-party contract? And then did not seal the memory and research this pill? It shouldn't be. With the Yan family's caution, they dare not violate the blood curse. Thinking of this, the thin old man's expression relaxed slightly. He continued to cast his eyes on the scene. Sumo looked at the reaction on the scene and was very satisfied. The auction price of a foundation building pill is generally around 13,000 spirit stones. Based on this estimate, the foundation building pill can be sold for about 7,000 spirit stones. This is the Yan family's conservative estimate. Judging from the reactions of various forces at this moment, although the success rate of the foundation pill is 20% lower than that of the foundation pill, it has not dampened everyone's enthusiasm. This pill may be worth more than 7,000. You know, this pill is not sent by others, but the Yan family's own thing. Every increase in the price by 1 point, the actual profit of the Yan family can increase by 1 point. As for where this pill came from, it has to start with Yan Lingyu. At the beginning, although Yan Lingyu did not perfect the foundation pill at the Zhang family's pill research meeting, he created many other magical pills by chance. Later, due to the threat of the three-party contract, he needed to block his memory, but Yan Lingyu, who had a system, did not need to. Yan Lingyu directly memorized those pill recipes secretly and perfected them after returning to the Yan family. This foundation pill is to replace the main medicine of the foundation pill recipe from the original Wanigan pill to the 4-waste wood, which also has analgesic effects, and then rematch the required auxiliary medicine according to the corresponding pharmacological knowledge. Because the main ingredient of the foundation pill, the 4-desolate wood, is cheap and easy to obtain, the Yan family can mass-produce this pill and refine one every month. Therefore, the Yan family will take out one from time to time to auction it in exchange for spirit stones to subsidize the huge financial expenditure. The 4-desolate wood is similar to the 10,000 abyss wood. After dissolving in water, it is colorless and tasteless. Therefore, the Yan family does not have to worry about others using the success of the foundation pill to reversely deduce its pill formula. Even the Zhang family. After all, if the pill formula is so easy to figure out, the Zhang family will not be unable to make the foundation pill for 200 years. On the stage, Sumo looked around and suddenly sighed. The owner of the foundation pill only agreed to sell this pill by auction, and my Yan family is not good at intervening in his own auction. That's it, I just say that this thing is not for my family. As soon as these words came out, there was another commotion among all parties. Some forces that did not intend to participate began to stir. The Yan family avoided suspicion and did not participate. Perhaps the price of the foundation pill would not be too high, and everyone would have a chance. Sumo glanced at it and nodded secretly. Now the Yan family should be able to distance themselves from the foundation pill. Making money secretly is the most enjoyable. Then, Sumo said with a regretful tone, "Foundation pill, the starting price is 2,000 spirit stones, and each bid is no less than 100. As soon as he finished speaking, someone bid 5,000 spirit stones. The voice came from the head of the Bai family. He directly raised the price by 3,000 spirit stones, which made a group of small and medium-sized forces give up and sigh that they were short of money. There was silence around for a few breaths, which made Sumo frown. 5,000 each time. Are there any Taoist friends who want to raise the price? 6,000. The Zhang family made a move. I'll try too. 7,000. The person who spoke was a senior member of the Lu family. 7,005. The head of the Bai family said indifferently. 8,000. 8,003. 9,000. The auction venue became a place for the Zhang, Bai and Lu families to compete with each other. Other small and medium-sized forces had no choice but to withdraw, but the price of the foundation pill continued to rise. The smile on Sumo's face was about to break. The price was about to break 10,000, which was much better than the original estimate of the Yan family. In fact, it was not the Yan family's fault for not guessing it. Because of the rise of the Yan family, the other three families felt pressure and urgently needed to improve their own strength. Not only to prevent the Yan family from counterattacking, but even if you want to drink soup with the Yan family, you have to be stronger. Therefore, the three families all showed their desire for the foundation pill. After several rounds of price increases, the price of the foundation pill reached 11,000 spirit stones, almost catching up with the foundation pill. At this time, the Bai and Lu families began to struggle. In terms of financial resources, they were indeed not as good as the Zhang family. Moreover, the Zhang family had made up their minds to take this pill into their pockets. 11,500 spirit stones, the thin old man of the Zhang family spoke again. And this time, after thinking for a while, the Bai and Lu families chose to give up. After all, it was a foundation pill, and they couldn't use it for research. It would be better to hoard spirit stones and wait for the appearance of the foundation pill. Seeing that no one else was willing to raise the price, Sumo was content. After all, more than 10,000 spirit stones were already a lot. 11,500 spirit stones once, 11,500 spirit stones twice. Just when everyone thought the dust had settled, a strange voice sounded in the attic. 12,000 spirit stones. Chapter 40. The auction is over. A piece of news. 12,000 spirit stones. What? The Zhang family thought that the elixir had been obtained, but they did not expect that another person would come out and continue to raise the price. The thin old man was extremely angry. He smashed the chair under him with one palm, stood up angrily, and looked for the person who spoke. But because of the existence of the spiritual barrier formation, he could only see a vague figure and did not know the other party's true identity. It's going to be a good show? The host Sumo, who was about to drop the hammer, stopped his hand in time and laughed in his heart. Someone raised the price again, which would not only allow the Yan family to gain more spirit stones, but also disgust the mortal enemy Zhang family. It would kill two birds with one stone, so Sumo was naturally happy to see it. I don't know who the person who spoke was. Judging from the seat where the other party was sitting, he was not a VIP guest, but he had such deep financial resources. Because of the incident, in the auction hall, except for the Zhang family, all the cultivators became interested again. I am Zhang Penguin, the alchemist of the Zhang family. This foundation pill is something that my Zhang family urgently needs. Please be modest, fellow Taoist. In the second room of honor, the thin old man had cold eyes. He didn't want to cause trouble. After all, this was the territory of the Yan family. If revealing his identity could intimidate the other party, it would be the best strategy. Then, Zhang Penguin tried to calm down and continued to quote, 12,100 spirit stones, 13,000 spirit stones. However, the other party was unwilling to give him face and raised the price by another 1,000. Don't refuse a toast and drink a forfeit. Seeing this situation, Zhang Penguin could no longer hold back his anger and shouted loudly. Seeing the impatience of the Zhang family, Sumo on the stage added fuel to the fire and said, Dao, don't be afraid. Beatty City is my Yan family's place. It's not the turn of the Zhang family to make trouble. Moreover, the psychedelic array here is set up by the master of array formation. Unless you are a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building, no one can see your true identity. Sumo, feeling the anger coming from the VIP compartment, Sumo was not afraid at all, and even ignored the other party, saying, 13,000 spirit stones once, 13,000 spirit stones two, 13,500 spirit stones. Zhang Penguin's eyes were gloomy, but he still gritted his teeth and continued to raise the price. 15,000. Before Zhang Pingwen's voice spread, the mysterious man actually added 15,000. At this moment, the whole audience was boiling. 15,000 spirit stones. Some cultivators have never seen so many spirit stones in their lives. They secretly sighed that the mysterious man was rich and powerful. The price of this foundation pill even exceeded the foundation pill. At the same time, these spirit stones also made the Yan family members too happy. Sumo. Could it be that your Yan family is playing tricks, secretly raising the price and deceiving my Zhang family? A gloomy voice came from the VIP seats of Yan. Sumo came back to his senses and said solemnly, how could my Yan family use the matter of smashing the signboard to covet your Zhang family's little profit? I can even make a heavenly oath to prove that this matter has nothing to do with my Yan family. The words of the Zhang family also reminded Sumo. He turned his eyes and looked at the mysterious man, saying faintly, my fellow Taoist, we can provide you with secrets, but if you can't take out enough spirit stones after bidding for the goods, don't blame my Yan family for being ruthless. The Zhang family has done so many bad things that I don't know how many people they have offended. Maybe someone among them wants to disgust the Zhang family. But disgusting as it is, it can't disturb the Yan family's business. At this time, Sumo was afraid that the other party was a fool. Of course, don't worry, Master Su. I have something to pay for it, the mysterious man said calmly. However, Sumo keenly perceived the excitement in the other person's tone, and he became wary, and his smile gradually faded. Master Su, it's time to count down, Sumo nodded. Foundation pill, 15,000 spiritual stones once, foundation pill, 15,000 spiritual stones twice, foundation pill, 15,000 spiritual stones 3 times, deal. Congratulations to this Taoist friend for getting this pill. Please move to the back hall to trade items. Until the end, Zhang Pingwen did not raise the price. 15,000 spiritual stones is a considerable amount even for the Zhang family. It is impossible to use it to buy a foundation pill. After all, it is only possible to research a foundation pill with it, not certain. The head of the Bai family in the private room of Yan Seaside, I don't know which expert took out this foundation pill. If I can contact him secretly and find a way to obtain it, my Bai family will be able to prosper with a steady supply of spiritual stones. With this, the auction ended. The guests left one after another. Zhang Pingwen did not leave immediately. He still did not believe that the guy sitting in the ordinary seat could take out such a large number of spirit stones. Maybe there's still a chance for things to turn around. Inside the Xianayan pavilion, a skinny old man wearing a hood, led by a maid, entered a hidden wooden door. The person waiting inside was Sumo. He smiled, clasped his fists and saluted. What is your name, fellow Taoist? Please forgive me, my surname is Qin. Fellow Taoist Qin, I am sorry for my disrespect. Then, Sumo looked up and down at the old man in front of him. The other party was not dressed gorgeously, but just a simple light blue Taoist robe. His face was dry and not greasy. Although his hair was well-groomed, it was not tied up like popular among the rich, but fell naturally on his shoulders, unlike the locals of Yingzhou. The old man's cultivation was only the 7th level of key training. Sumo frowned secretly. This person did not look like a cultivator with abundant spirit stones. Suppressing his doubts, he took out the brocade box from his sleeves, and inside was the foundation pill. Fellow Taoist Qin, here is the foundation pill. How do you want to pay? Our Xianayan pavilion can accept Ekium bills, Shaonan County bills, direct spiritual stones, or exchange of equivalent items. Equivalent items exchange, the old man surnamed Qin said lightly. Hearing this, Sumo narrowed his eyes slightly, and had bad thoughts in his mind. If it is an equivalent exchange, the price of the item will be determined by our Xianayan pavilion, but fellow Taoist Qin, don't worry. Our Xianayan pavilion offers fair prices and accurate vision. After explaining, Sumo asked tentatively, fellow Taoist Qin, can you take out the spiritual objects you want to exchange? There are no spiritual objects. The old man rolled up his sleeves, and there was nothing. Fellow Taoist Qin, are you here to joke with our Xianayan pavilion? Seeing this, Sumo's expression condensed, his eyes flashed fiercely, and the surrounding forbidden formations began to mobilize. However, in the face of such a dangerous situation, the cultivator surnamed Qin was not in a hurry, and said, there are no spiritual objects, but there is a piece of news that can be worth 15,000 spiritual stones. News. Sumo showed a trace of doubt in his eyes. Judging from the test just now, this old man should be confident. The confidence may come from his background, from himself, or from the news he said. Judging from the information he revealed, the first two are unlikely. In this case, this news is the key. At the same time, according to the other party's performance at the auction, if the Zhang family continued to raise the price at that time, the old man would also follow suit, with no upper limit. In other words, this news may be more than 15,000 spirit stones, but it is difficult to estimate. Thinking of this, Sumo suddenly became interested and wanted to find out what news made the other party so confident. Oh? Can you briefly reveal part of it? An ownerless spirit vein. What? An ownerless spirit vein. Chapter 41, Ownerless Spiritual Vein. Transaction completed. On the top floor of Xianayan Pavilion, there is a separate public loft. Yan Lingyu is meditating and practicing in it. As the behind-the-scenes controller of Xianayan Pavilion in Beatty City, he rarely shows up now. He usually lives in seclusion to practice alchemy and leaves the things below to his clansmen. After refining 2 furnaces of elixirs, it is estimated that the auction has just begun and it will take some time to end. So Yan Lingyu began to enter a state of meditation. In recent days, as his understanding of Zhuangzi Shumianju has deepened, he found that his Hengshui spirit body is actually connected to this technique, and the two seem to be influencing each other. Yan Lingyu didn't know whether this was good or bad, and he planned to spend more time studying it. He had a hunch that this Zhuangzi Shumianju was definitely not as simple as it looked on the surface. Dong dong dong, the sound of rapid knocking on the door came from behind. Who is it, ninth brother? It's me, Lingcheng. The anxious voice of a girl came from outside the door. Come in, 12th sister, what's wrong? Why are you so impatient? Shouldn't you be hosting the auction? Is the auction over? How did the foundation pill sell? Yan Lingyu quit her practice and asked the girl. The foundation pill was sold at a high price of 15,000 spirit stones. That's great. Was it bought by the Zhang family? Yan Lingyu was delighted after hearing this, and then asked with a look of understanding. Yan Lingcheng shook his head and continued, Brother 9, this is not the point. The one who bought the foundation pill is an old man, and this is not the point either. The key is what the other party took out. What? Spiritual veins? Yan Lingyu was stunned and exclaimed. In the world, all things can brew spiritual energy. If a piece of stone ore is nourished by spiritual energy, it will slowly turn into spiritual ore, and the spiritual ore will continue to receive spiritual energy and will change further, becoming a spiritual vein that can emit spiritual energy by itself. Unless there is an unlimited supply of spirit stones, cultivators cannot practice without spiritual veins. The 7 major cities of Yingzhou are all built on spiritual veins. Because the spiritual vein evolved from the spiritual ore, it is impossible for all the spiritual ore to be transformed into a spiritual vein, so there must be another spiritual mine around the spiritual vein. If a spiritual mine is mined slowly, it can produce at least 100,000 spiritual stones. Now the Yan family is in a period of reconstruction and needs extra spiritual stones. If they can get this spiritual vein and spiritual mine, the Yan family's foundation will be greatly improved, surpassing the Zhang family in one fell swoop, and truly becoming the overlord of Yingzhou. Not only that, this spiritual vein is an ownerless spiritual vein. Although everything in this world belongs to Dekian, the sky and the earth are vast and sparsely populated. It is impossible for the royal family of Dekian to collect all the resources. Therefore, the laws of Dekian encourage monks to open up wasteland. If a force discovers a new spiritual mine, as long as it registers with Dekian and pays 15% of the mine's spiritual stones, the force can become the owner of this new spiritual mine. The spiritual mine will also be protected by Dekian. And the spiritual vein is first come first served. After all, Dekian has an unparalleled dragon vein. And other barren spiritual veins are useless to it. Therefore, as long as you can hold on to a new spiritual vein, it will be yours. Whether it is a spiritual vein or a spiritual mine, both are urgently needed by the Yan family now. Especially the spiritual vein. In Yan Lingyu's view, as the Yan family grows stronger and the number of clansmen increases year by year, this small Beatty city is destined to be unable to accommodate all the clansmen. If the Yan family has another spiritual vein elsewhere, they can build the Yan family's future clan land based on the new spiritual vein. In Beatty City, they are restricted by the Dakian royal family, which still affects their development. 12th sister, don't say much, take me there quickly. Yan Lingyu's mind kept flashing with pictures, and he was also faintly excited. The skinny old man is called Kin Fu. When he said the word spiritual vein, the alchemist sumo opposite him showed a look of surprise, and then cast a spell to convey the message and asked the former to wait patiently. Kin Fu understood that this was to invite the real person in charge of the Yan family. Kin Fu looked at the foundation pill on the table with a fiery look. Although he was working with that adult, the other party could not give him the foundation building pill extravagantly. If he wanted to build a foundation, Kin Fu could only find a way on his own. He did come to the Yan family with a mission, but this mission did not conflict with the auction of the foundation building pill. In fact, the two had the same purpose. In this case, Kin Fu naturally wanted to make some money from it. The spirit vein is indeed precious, but that is for a force like the Yan family. For lonely old people, the spirit vein is a bit useless and may even cause unnecessary trouble. It is better to exchange it for spirit stones or cultivation resources. What's more, the exchange is still a panacea such as the foundation building pill. Thinking of this, the door of the dark room opened and a jade-faced man entered. Kin Fu was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the manager of the Yan family was so young. He had a vague guess about his identity in his heart. Fellow Taoist Kin, I'm really sorry for wasting your time. My name is Yan Lingyu, and I'm the manager of the Xianyan Pavilion here. I'll be the one to negotiate this deal with you. Can you tell me more about the spiritual vein? Yan Lingyu got straight to the point after entering the house. Kin Fu saw that the real owner had arrived, so he said, the spiritual vein is in Kaohsiung. I discovered it by accident. There is no one guarding it around, only an ancient restriction. Restriction? Yan Lingyu frowned. Yes, restriction. This restriction is also strange. As long as you get close, you can hear a hallucination. Foundation building cultivators and above are not allowed to enter. Yan Lingyu felt a little absurd. Kin Fu continued, I am practicing Qi, so I went in to explore and found the spiritual vein. As soon as he finished speaking, he felt something was wrong. The man in front of him obviously didn't believe what he said. Kin Fu had no choice but to be tongue-tied, and he really wanted to get the foundation building pill. So, he said solemnly, I can swear to the heavenly Dao to prove that this is true. It was only at this point that Yan Lingyu's expression eased a little. But he was not in a hurry to complete the transaction. The spiritual vein matter was too important and needed to be handled carefully. Yan Lingyu then asked, have you told this matter to others, and both sides benefited? No, Kin Fu said. However, Yan Lingyu was unwilling to believe him, and he coerced the latter to swear several more oaths. As for whether the spiritual vein has been known by others, I can't guarantee it, old man. After all, Kaohsiung is in the wild, and anyone can enter and discover it. Kin Fu wiped the sweat from his forehead. Since talking with Yan Lingyu, he gradually fell into a passive position. The fact that he longed for the foundation pill had been grasped by the other party. This Yan Lingyu was meticulous and thoughtful, and he didn't look like a young man at all. Talking with him, Kin Fu felt pressured inside. No wonder he is in charge at such a young age, with a calm mind and amazing means, as if he had lived for hundreds of years. Until all the questions in his mind were answered, Yan Lingyu finally believed that the spirit vein existed. It was no wonder that he was cautious. The main reason was that everything was just the other party's words. There was no other evidence, and he could only use the oath of heaven to prove it. Although there was still a loophole that could not be answered, Yan Lingyu felt that it was worth it to exchange the foundation pill for this news. Fellow Taoist Kin, I, Xianyan Pavilion, have made this deal. We will pay 15,000 spirit stones to the owner of the foundation pill on your behalf. Yan Lingyu pushed the brocade box out. The transaction was completed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, Bright Moon in the Sky, Yinglian and Lingzang. Yan Family, Angxiang Pavilion. After collecting information about the spiritual veins, Yan Lingyu left Xianyan Pavilion and rushed to the family to meet with the clan elder Liuxi. Clan elder Liu, Lingyu received a message about an ownerless spiritual vein. Because there is a ban that isolates the foundation building, Lingyu believes that she can advance and retreat after the foundation building, so she wants to go and see it in person. Liu Yuxi looked at the young man in front of her who was a head taller than her, and said with some concern, Now your deeds are spreading in Yingzhou, and even the neighboring states and counties have heard about you, boasting that you are invincible after the foundation building. Lingyu, don't be arrogant because of this. This is obviously a trick of the Zhang family to kill with a boro knife. As a thorn in the eyes of the Zhang family and the hope of the Yan family, you should avoid doing dangerous things. As long as this poisonous snake of the Zhang family is not dead, it will keep staring at Yan Lingyu. Although the Zhang family has not launched an open killing move in the past few years, the undercurrents behind the scenes can be felt even by the Yan family. Qiushuling, where the spiritual vein is located, is thousands of miles away from Beatty City. It is entirely possible that the Zhang family received the news and ambushed secretly. In Liu Yuxi's opinion, with Yan Lingyu's cultivation talent, it is possible for him to reach the golden core. The Yan family did not dare to think that they had a golden core cultivator in the family. With this, the Yan family can completely occupy Yingzhou, and even greatly increase their influence in the entire Xiaonan county. Because of this, the Yan family even reduced Yan Lingyu's burden of alchemy. After all, the alchemy master is still not as good as a genuine golden core cultivator. Yan Lingyu's momentum stagnated, knowing that the family was considering his safety. But he had to go. According to the information obtained from Qin Fu, there are monsters near that spiritual vein. Although they are not above the 3rd level, they are still a threat to other clansmen. Monsters of the 1st and 2nd levels correspond to key training, the 3rd and 4th levels correspond to foundation building, and the 5th and 6th levels correspond to golden core. Moreover, Yan Lingyu regarded that spiritual vein as the future clan land of the Yan family. How could he, the ancestor of the Yan family, not go and see it in person? With a reincarnation system, there is no need to live mindlessly. So, he persuaded, Zhang Zhangai and Zhang Qiushan of the Zhang family have only recently recovered from their injuries, so it is impossible for them to take action personally. The remaining foundation building cultivator Zhang Zhangi must protect the Zhang family's assets. If they want to take action against me, let alone whether they can succeed, then you, the elder Liu, will take the opportunity to attack the Zhang family, which will surely make the other party lose more than they gain. Liu Yuxi was silent for a while, and it was obvious that this reason did not make her give in. Yan Lingyu continued, even if the Zhang family really wants to hire someone to kill, I am not afraid of them. I think about how the ancestor Yan Ping went out alone and encountered so many dangers to have such a family business. The sharpness of a sword comes from grinding, and the fragrance of plum blossoms comes from the bitter cold. How can Lingyu grow without experiencing some hardships? His tone was sincere, and he even mentioned Yan Ping, the ancestor of the Yan family, a person that Liu Yuxi had to pay attention to. The old woman really showed signs of agreeing. Besides, the Yan family is short of manpower, and they can't find a better key training clan member for the time being. Elder Liu, you don't want your clan members to get into an accident and lose their lives while exploring the spiritual veins, right? Because of the last battle between Yan and Zhang, the Yan family's senior leaders died, and the recent expansion of the clan's power and the numerous affairs, the Yan family is short of manpower. Even if they can apply for the service, some core contents must be managed by the clan members themselves. So, a clan member has to be split in half. Even Yan Lingyu, who has just come of age, has to take charge of the finances of the Xianayan Pavilion. Therefore, the Yan family really wants to free up manpower to explore the spiritual veins at this moment, but it is really a bit stretched. Yan Lingyu is relatively the most leisurely. Without him, the Xianayan Pavilion can still operate. Like Yan Jidao, Yan Yingzhou, Yan Lingyu and others, if they are delayed for a few days, the Yan family may lose thousands of spirit stones. The foundation pile is destined not to be auctioned all the time. Okay, you bring Yinglian with you, so you can have a helper. Okay, I'll go find my 4th uncle now, Yan Lingyu answered and was about to turn around when Liu Yuxi called him again. There may be risks on this trip, so keep this thing. When Yan Lingyu turned around, an object full of spiritual energy appeared in the other party's hand. It was a silver-white treasure mirror, a circle larger than the palm of her hand. The mirror surface was dull and simple, and the back of the mirror was engraved with a full moon. The whole mirror emitted a faint fluorescence, as if the moon in the sky was held in Liu Yuxi's hand. Bright moon in the sky mirror, Yan Lingyu was surprised. He naturally knew about this thing. After the Yan family's great funeral, the Bai family and the State Lord's mansion each sent a spiritual weapon as an apology gift. Among them, The Bai family sent this bright moon in the sky mirror. Because it is a low-grade spiritual weapon, it is temporarily placed with Liu Yuxi so that it can exert its full power. Another gift from the State Lord's mansion was a precious sword. When Yan Jichuan was promoted to the foundation building stage, it was passed to him, saving the latter the time to spend on collecting spiritual tools. Once he was promoted to the foundation building stage, his combat power would be improved. Take it. With your ability, you can also activate 1 or 2 points. It is better than magic tools anyway. The classification of refining tools, magic tools, spiritual tools, magic treasures, spiritual treasures, all sky spiritual treasures, and divine tools. Seeing this, Yan Lingyu did not refuse, took it with both hands and put it in his pocket. The power of spiritual tools is 100 times stronger than that of magic tools, and its material is here. Even if it cannot be driven, using the treasure mirror as a shield can also play a good protective role. Yan Lingyu shuttled through the Yan family's house. Relying on memory, he soon came to Yan Yinglian's residence. Knocked on the door and said, "Fourth uncle, it's me, Lingyu. I have something to talk to you. Come in." Yan Lingyu pushed the door open, walked through the yard, and stepped into the main hall. At this time, 2 people were talking in the main hall. 5 years have passed, and Yan Yinglian has not changed much in appearance, but his temperament has changed dramatically. The original bohemian is gone, and his face is only calm and cold. The impact of his father Yan Jikun's death is still continuing. Fourth uncle, fourth brother, next to Yan Yinglian is the 7th generation 4th old Yan King's Hang, who is called the Yan family's magic cannon. Of course, this cannon is not the same as the other cannon. It is called so because the magic that Yan King's Hang modified is like a cannon on Earth when it is released. He does have a unique understanding of cannons. At the Yan family's alchemy meeting, he was able to release a powerful explosion through alchemy. In fact, Yan King's Hang is very focused on cultivation. Now he has just entered the 8th level of key training. He is the 2nd person in the 7 generations, second only to Yan Lingyu. His talent is obvious. He was at Yan Yinglian's house to discuss cultivation. "Lingyu, what happened?" Yan Lingyu told Yan Yinglian about the spiritual vein and asking for his help. "Okay, when are we going?" "Tomorrow." Sharpening the knife does not delay the chopping of wood, and there is no rush to prepare. "Yeah." Yan Yinglian nodded at his handsome and charming face and said, "Old 9, can I go with you?" Suddenly, Yan Lingzhang on the side spoke up. When Yan Lingyu was still introducing, this guy who couldn't bear the loneliness was already eager to move. At this time, he stood up excitedly, and his tall and strong figure overshadowed the other 2. "Are you so free? Did the clan assign you a task?" Yan Lingyu was a little confused. "Why not? I just escorted the goods and came back from Yazhou. There's still some time before the next trip, so I can go to Keishuling." Yan Lingyu understood, and thought that it would be okay to take this big guy with him. When exploring the spiritual veins, he can be used as gunpowder for blasting the mountains. "Then you should report to the head of the family. Thank you for the monthly tickets sent by the 2 great people. Time passes in 1,008,611. Thank you for the reward from K917. Thank you for the reader's follow-up and collection. Your support and encouragement are the motivation for new authors." Chapter 43, The Origin of Spiritual Body, Hengshui Yinli. After bidding farewell to the 2 clansmen, Yan Lingyu walked towards his own house. When he stepped into the courtyard, he took out the Heoyu Danquangjian and began to refine it on the spot. Yan Lingyu was ready to test the power of the spiritual weapon to prevent himself from being unable to exert the effect of the spiritual weapon due to his unfamiliarity in the event of an emergency. After an incense stick, the Heoyu Danquangjian was refined. A cold feeling spread throughout Yan Lingyu's body, and then faint lines appeared on the surface of his skin, as if he was baptized and reflected by the moonlight. He thought about it and injected his true energy into the spiritual weapon. As soon as he injected it, he frowned. This Heoyu Danquangjian was like a bottomless pit with extremely strong suction, sucking Yan Lingyu's true energy dry. It was still a bit difficult for a Kigan cultivator to drive a spiritual weapon. But who is Yan Lingyu? The reincarnation of Yan Ping, the ancestor of the Yan family, has seen everything in the world. Although he had no experience in controlling spiritual weapons with Kigan in his previous life, he had it after entering the foundation building stage. With a cold snort, he forcibly held on to the true ki in his body, not letting it become too violent, and then controlled and reduced the speed of the true qi flowing downstream. Gradually, the treasure mirror was flooded with bright moonlight and slowly floated to the top of Yan Lingyu's head. His eyes suddenly opened, and the treasure mirror shone brightly. The brilliance could even be compared to the sunlight in the sky. It can be imagined that if it was at night, it would dispel the surrounding darkness for the owner of the spiritual weapon. Then the mirror turned over and shot out a silver-white beam of light, which was thin at the near end and thick at the far end, similar to a searchlight. Wherever the beam of light passed, it could see through the truth, and all disguises had nowhere to hide. The first effect of the bright moon in the sky mirror is insight. With a thud, the silver-white mirror began to jump, and the solid beam of light emitted dissipated, and turned into a transparent body, transforming into a phantom as tall as a person, blocking in front of Yan Lingyu, protecting him, and adjusting the direction according to the latter's intentions. This protective shadow has amazing defense, which can match the tenfold enhanced version of the water ring technique. Yan Lingyu was very satisfied, and secretly sighed that it was indeed a spiritual weapon. Even if it was only a low-grade spiritual weapon, its power could not be matched by a magic weapon. And this was the case when his cultivation was insufficient and he could only exert 20%. If Yan Lingyu had established his foundation, the defense of this bright moon in the sky mirror would be greatly improved. After a few more tests, Yan Lingyu took back the treasure mirror. He had already felt a little tired after just practicing it. According to his estimation, he could only use this mirror for a quarter of an hour at most. If he did not take the elixir to replenish his mana, his internal energy would be exhausted. This was because Yan Lingyu practiced a mysterious breath water sponge technique, which made his mana thicker than that of ordinary key training cultivators. Otherwise, the time he could practice would be shortened again. Putting away the spiritual weapon, Yan Lingyu walked towards the inner room. Just when he was practicing the bright moon in the sky mirror, he had an epiphany and wanted to try out the idea that suddenly popped up in his mind. Pull out a cushion, sit cross-legged on it, close your eyes and meditate, looking inward. In Zhuangzi Shumianju, there are two Zhuan-level spells, named Renshu Yinli and Spirit Body Origin. Because Zhuan-level spells can only be practiced by foundation-building cultivators, Yan Lingyu has tried before, but has not succeeded, and his understanding of these two spells is not very thorough. But he has a hunch that he is only a step away from success. When using the spiritual weapon treasure mirror, the strange feeling of the true key being extracted coincides with a feeling when he tried the spiritual body source. The true key in the body slowly formed a vortex, and then was extracted. And this situation reminded Yan Lingyu of another thing, that is, the Hengshui spiritual body rewarded to him by the system. When he activated the Hengshui spiritual body, the true key in his body was also in a vortex shape, and it was in the opposite direction. When it was extracted, it was clockwise, and the Hengshui spiritual body and the spiritual body source were both counterclockwise. This gave Yan Lingyu a bold idea. Is it possible that the spiritual body source is the Hengshui spiritual body? Or, the purpose of the spiritual body source is to express the effect of a Hengshui spiritual body? That is, an increase in the effectiveness of the water system. Yan Lingyu thought slowly, and the more he thought about it, the more he felt it was possible. The purpose of the predecessors who created the spiritual body source was to let every practitioner have a Hengshui spiritual body. Thinking of this, Yan Lingyu sighed a little. The wisdom of the predecessors was too advanced. Of course, the spiritual body source is only a mysterious magic after all, and it is impossible to be as mysterious as the real spiritual method, but it is also precious. Since Yan Lingyu recovered his memory and obtained the Hengshui spiritual body, he has been benefiting from it every moment, and naturally understands the power of this spiritual body. Now there are people who use acquired wisdom to pursue the innate posture. He admires it. After figuring out the trick, with a demonstration of the Hengshui spiritual body in front, it becomes easy to practice the spiritual body source. With the water vapor around Yan Lingyu, his spiritual body source began to take shape. One deep and one light, two strange energies flowed freely in his body. Suddenly, Yan Lingyu showed a trace of surprise on his face. This spiritual body source actually has a mutually reinforcing effect with a Hengshui spiritual body. This is really a pleasant surprise. At this moment, Yan Lingyu's thoughts were clear, and he quietly entered the stage of enlightenment. He focused on another technique, Renshu Yinli. Renshu is the most yang water, Yinli is the most yin thunder, following the way of yin and yang harmony. Thunder belongs to wood, Wood can produce water, and water can pass thunder, which is in line with the way of endless life. Although the two are combined, they need a starting point, an anchor point, to let the two combine first. The source of the spiritual body. With the power of vortex suction, Hengshui and Yan Lingyu are just a perfect match. With this thought, Yan Lingyu suppressed the excitement in his heart, operated the source of the spiritual body, and opened the Hengshui spiritual body, and then tried to repair Hengshui Yinli. Slowly, the spiritual energy and true energy around him turned into dark blue viscous liquid, which spread out. Crack, crack, as the liquid became more and more, it gradually formed a river, surrounding Yan Lingyu. Everything it touched, such as tables, chairs, cabinets, and beds, was sucked into the river, crushed until it disappeared. Hengshui is deep blue water with a very high density. Even a drop of it is as powerful as 1,000 pounds. Yinlei is not like lightning, but a dark and dense turbulence. This Hengshui Yinlei combines the characteristics of both. Even if Yan Lingyu has not cultivated it to perfection, it is already incredibly powerful. Taking a deep breath, he put away the spell Hengshui Yinlei, and instantly became heroic. Yan Lingyu has a body of the 8th level of key training, but he has both spiritual tools and 2 mysterious level spells. As a person who has built a foundation, combined with the experience of 2 lives and his own means, he has reached the limit of the key training stage. Even if he encounters an ordinary cultivator in the early stage of foundation building, he can retreat calmly and avoid the edge. Zhang Shangai, you really gave me a great gift. I am so embarrassed to kill you. Thinking of the Zhuangzi Shumianju that he got from the Zhang family, his mortal enemy, Yan Lingyu couldn't help but smile. This technique is really a disaster for ordinary people, but for Yan Lingyu, who has rapid recovery of cultivation and Hengshui spirit body, it is simply a set of techniques tailor-made for him. At the same time, after initially practicing 2 1-level techniques, Yan Lingyu concluded that this Zhuangzi Shumianju is definitely not as simple as a 1-level technique. This may be just a fragment, and there must be a follow-up technique. He needs to find it. Yan Lingyu's eyes flashed. He seemed to have found a bright road. Chapter 44 Hai Chonggang of the Hai family, Lin Zixin of Kongtuang. Yazhou. It is located in the west of Yingzhou and is also a state capital under the jurisdiction of Xiaonan County. However, compared with the latter, the soil here is excellent. There is a Yulong Lake in the center, and it is rich in resources. It is an absolute land of fish and rice. There are 2 major forces in Yazhou that have been confronting each other for thousands of years. These 2 forces have almost completely divided the rich Yazhou, and even the local city lord has to look up to them. The 2 forces are Longxi Hai family and Mingmu Lei sect among them. The Hai family has been developing and prospering in recent years, and there are signs that it has surpassed the Mulei sect Longxi city, in the ancestral home of the Hai family. A young man with long hair, about 25 years old, woke up from meditation. He has a resolute appearance, sword eyebrows and star eyes, a face like a knife, and wears a jade-studded hat. He looks like a modest young man, which makes people feel good when they see him. This person is called Hai Chonggang, and he is the most talented member of the new generation of the Hai family. When he was young, he accidentally took the inner pill of a 9-headed jellyfish in the Jinden realm. This pill contained a deadly poison. The Hai family thought that this child would definitely die, but they didn't expect Hai Chonggang to survive. Moreover, as the inner pill of the 9-headed jellyfish slowly merged with it, Hai Chonggang's physique changed, and it was extremely suitable for the practice of the Hai family's unique skill Lianao Huangquan Sutra. Therefore, after he switched to practicing the technique, he received the full support of the Hai family, and his cultivation level soared to the sky, and no one could stop him. At the age of 26, he became the 9th level of key training, and he was also the first person under the foundation building cultivator in Yazhou. Ordinary key training cultivators were not even his opponents. It was also because of Hai Chonggang's appearance that the Mulei sect was inferior to the Hai family, and was blocked everywhere and fell behind. It is worthy of being a ground-level technique, Lianao Huangquan Sutra. I have only practiced to the peak of the 2nd level, and my strength has increased again. Hai Chonggang's eyebrows closed slightly, and he was a little happy. Suddenly, he frowned and looked at a flying book in front of him. It's Master Bai Miao from Hengshui sect again. I have said that I don't want to be his disciple, but he still makes things difficult for me. If he wasn't from Hengshui sect, I would have turned against him long ago. And I wouldn't have let him get away with it. Master Bai Miao is a cultivator in the early stage of Jinden. When he was out once, he took a fancy to Hai Chonggang and wanted to take him as his disciple and pass on his lifelong learning. If it were an ordinary Kigen cultivator, he would be ecstatic and glad to accept the offer of a Jinden cultivator and a disciple of Hengshui sect, but Hai Chonggang was different. He chose to decline. Although the other party was a Jinden cultivator, he looked down on him. He felt that if he entered the sect, there would be many restrictions, so it would be better to be comfortable in his own family. Of course, the main reason was that Master Bai Miao was also a lonely man, and he had no power in Hengshui sect. It was also said that he had secretly provoked the elders of the inner sect of Hengshui sect. For all these reasons, the Hai family did not agree to let their clansmen become his disciples. Although the Hai family did not have a Jinden cultivator, it had a 1,000-year heritage. Even if it was just an early Jinden cultivator, they were not afraid. However, the other party was named Hengshui sect after all, so it was not easy to directly confront them. After Hai Chonggang had practiced the refining Nether Yellow Spring Sutra for 2 more weeks, he had an idea, stood up, and came to the door. He opened the wooden door, and in front of him was a member of the Hai family. "Chongming, what do you want to see me for?" Hai Chonggang said indifferently when he saw his cousin. "Brother Chonggang, the family received a message that there is an ownerless spiritual vein in Kaishiling. There are ancient restrictions in this spiritual vein, and foundation building cultivators cannot enter. Therefore, the family hopes that you can go and explore it." "Yes," Hai Chonggang nodded. He knew the importance of an ownerless spiritual vein to the family. "Brother Chonggang, the clan leader has arranged the people who will accompany you. At that time, the clan will also lend you the spiritual weapon White Whale Sea King Halberd temporarily." Jeju. Located in the southwest of Yingzhou and south of Yezhou. Although Jeju is a small state with only one city under its jurisdiction, it is a place of outstanding people and a place of spiritual power. The probability of mortals giving birth to spiritual roots is higher than that of other states and cities, and the trend of body refining is prevalent. There is only one leading force in Jeju, called Kangtong sect, which is also a sect that focuses on body refining. 900 years ago, Lin Wangsu, the third-generation leader of Kangtong sect, was extremely talented and became a Jinden cultivator. He led the sect to rise and laid the foundation for the subsequent development of the sect. Although Kangtong sect is somewhat declining now, and there are no Jinden cultivators, it still has the Jinden Daoism after all. Its strength cannot be underestimated and it is still the overlord of Jeju. The site of Kangtong sect is on Kangtong Mountain. At this time, in a waterfall somewhere in the mountain, 2 strong men were accepting the impact of the turbulent water to train their bodies. The 2 were naked, leaving only a pair of thick shorts. Their muscles were as solid as rocks, and their skin was shiny bronze. The water hit them and they were instantly torn into pieces. "Brother Zixin, why do you prefer to come here to practice? The pressure of the waterfall here is the lowest among the large waterfalls in Kangtong Mountain, and with your status, even the uncles and uncles will give way to you." One of the Kangtong sect disciples, who was smaller in stature, with a round face and big ears, asked. Beside him was a strong man who was even taller than him, named Lin Zixin. He was the first person below the foundation building stage in Kangtong sect, equivalent to the first person in key training in Jeju. Lin Zixin had an indestructible spirit body, and he was also a horizontal cultivator. His body, like gold and stone, had never been injured in the slightest. In the fight with the same realm, no one could break his defense. At the same time, this indestructible spirit body was only possessed by one other person in the history of Kangtong sect. That person was the third-generation sect master Lin Wangsu. Because of this, the sect leaders valued this kid very much, and almost provided the best resources and guidance to the sect. Lin Zixin lived up to everyone's expectations. In just 26 years, he cultivated to the 9th level of key training, one step away from building a foundation, and the corresponding skills were also perfect. Lin Zixin did not answer immediately. There was a faint glow on the surface of his body, and a faint figure of a dragon appeared around him. "I finally refined the Jiao Slough." Lin Zixin suddenly opened his eyes were shining, and his whole body was comfortable. 3 years ago, he spent a huge amount of money at an auction and got the skin shed by a young dragon. This skin was refined by a master and the secret method of Kangtong sect, and finally became a spiritual weapon that was very suitable for him. Wearing the Jiao Slough, Lin Zixin's defense ability was not only improved by a level, but also the disadvantage of his huge and bulky body was eliminated. Today, Lin Zixin is a humanoid monster with a strong body and extremely fast speed. After the mission was over, Lin Zixin could finally answer his junior brother's words. He looked down, following his vision. In the bottom pool, there were several beautiful women with graceful figures taking a bath. Because Lin Zixin and the other two were in the middle of the cliff, and there was a waterfall covering them, the people below could not see them at all. Seeing this spring scenery, the big-eared junior brother's round face blushed, but he couldn't move his eyes away. "Duanhe, you're promising," Lin Zixin teased. Then, his face changed, and he said solemnly, "Junior brother, don't look, walk with me for a while." "What's the matter, senior brother?" The sect received a message that there is an ownerless spiritual vein in Hengshui, but there is an ancient formation. The foundation building cultivators cannot enter. The sect master ordered the two of us, and Uncle Dallin, to go and investigate. Thanks to Brother Longxing Xiangsha and the Buck Friend 20210813205944516 for the reward. Thank you readers for your great support. The new book recommendations are based on Tuesday's data. I hope everyone will not keep reading on Tuesday and must turn to the last page of the new chapter. Please. Chapter 45 Hengshui, Entering the Cave. Beatty City. Qin Fu came out of Xianayan Pavilion, looked around, and after making sure that no one was following him, he walked out of the city gate. He covered his waist with his hands, where the foundation pill was, and murmured with a smile on his lips, "I swore not to tell others the news, but I didn't guarantee that others wouldn't tell. It's too easy to play tricks on the oath of heaven." Hengshui is located on the west side of Heishan City in Yingzhou, covering an area of 1,000 miles, bordering Yazhou and Jeju. Its altitude is not high, and the highest peak is only 300 feet above the ground. The entire mountain is surrounded by green trees, and the surrounding area is barren and seldom visited. After more than half a day's journey, the Yan family finally arrived here before the sun set. Pucci, Yan Lingyu carried the magic sword in one hand, cut through the thorns and opened up a passable road in the bushes. Because this place is not on the main roads of Dekian, it has been desolate for a long time and has been occupied by wild beasts and low-level monsters. But because of this, it still maintains its original ecology, surrounded by mountains and rivers, with birds singing and flowers blooming, and a beautiful environment, suitable for immortal residents. Yan Lingyu is very satisfied with the environment here. The current house of the Yan family is still too small and narrow. With the improvement of the strength of cultivation, the clan members have to restrain their hands and feet if they want to practice some magic to prevent the destruction of the family's property. This will affect the cultivation to some extent. Hengshui is different. For example, the land where Yan Lingyu is now, if the trees and weeds on it are cut, it can be turned into a large open playground. The younger generation of the Yan family can practice without scruples on it, and even practice arranging military formations. In the deep woods of Hengshui, some easy-to-tame monsters can also be raised, which can not only increase the strength of the clan, but also be used for the younger generation to hone their skills. The flat land in the distance can also be reclaimed to grow spiritual rice and spiritual plants. The location of the clan house can be chosen on the hillside of the hill in front of us. The house built on the whole mountain is the foundation, and skilled craftsmen are invited to help build the house. It must be more magnificent than the one in Beatty City. At that time, it will be more prestigious to invite relatives and friends to visit the clan. Slowly, a majestic blueprint appeared in Yan Lingyu's mind. It was not until the sky gradually darkened that the three members of the Yan family followed the map provided by Qin Fu and found the destination of this trip. This is the entrance of a karst cave. Looking from a distance, you can see that the cave is emitting a strange glimmer, red with green, a little weird. And there are beasts and birds singing in the cave. I think there are many monsters in it. Yan Lingyu took out 3 fluorescent stones and distributed them to Yan Yinglin and Yan Lingzhang to play a lighting role. The consciousness of the key training cultivator cannot be too far away from the body, and it mainly relies on the 5 senses to perceive external objects. The 3 of them looked at each other and went into the cave in a straight line, with Yan Lingyu leading the way and Yan Yinglin at the rear. As soon as they approached the cave entrance, the 3 of them were startled. At this moment, a series of Buddhist sounds suddenly appeared in their ears, echoing. Foundation building cultivators and above are not allowed to enter. At the same time, the 3 of them also felt a strange thought, constantly probing them. as if all their secrets and information were known. Yan Lingyu's heart shuddered, and he felt that if he was a foundation-building cultivator, he would die instantly if he dared to take another step. He thought to himself, this formation is really weird, I don't know who set it up and why. If Qin Fu hadn't entered it before and was able to exit safely, he would never risk entering this unknown place. He took a deep breath and continued to move forward. Yan Lingyu suddenly felt a little worried about the events that might happen later. And he was excited. If the spiritual vein here was really taken by the Yan family, this formation would be an extra gain. It can block the entry of foundation-building monks, which is equivalent to a safe house. When encountering a strong enemy, the Yan family can hide in the formation, so there is no need to worry about the foundation-building monks bullying the weak. The entrance of the cave is very narrow at first, and it is only passable. After walking a few dozen steps, it suddenly becomes clear. Stepping into it, it feels like being in a mysterious underground world. Inside the cave, the quiet and humid atmosphere hits you in the face. On the top wall hang stalactites formed by the deposition of water droplets. They are of various shapes, like bronze bells, like ivory, and all flashing faint light. The bottom of the cave is full of stalagmites, like sharp spikes, standing vertically, gathering into a spectacle. At the same time, this room is rich in spiritual energy. After absorbing all this spiritual energy, Yan Lingyu even has the sign of breaking through the 9th level of key training. There really is a spiritual vein, and the grade is not low. Yan Lingyu was overjoyed. Then, he pointed at the black shadow that was constantly shaking in the depths of the cave and said, "Fourth uncle, fourth brother, let's clear out these low-level monsters around first, and then explore the spiritual veins." "Okay," the other two responded and entered the battle state one after another. The next moment, the dim cave became bright because of the brilliance of magic and sword shadows. The three rushed towards the monsters. These were several cave spiders, and they were probably attracted by the spiritual energy to build a nest here. Swish squeak, for such a monster that was not even at the 2nd level, the three people of the Yan family naturally killed it like cutting melons and vegetables, and ended the battle in a few seconds. After simply cleaning up the battlefield, they continued to walk deeper into the cave. Phantom blood bats, eyeless spirit rats, and mountain-eating red ants. There were more monsters in this spiritual vein than originally thought, and they were also stronger, which took the three people of the Yan family a lot of effort. When the clearing was completed, Yan Lingyu and his group also walked to the end. At this time, in front of them was a stone wall with a glimmering crystal light. On the stone wall, one could see a number of uncarved spiritual stones. There were obvious marks of formations around the stone wall. Yan Lingyu guessed that it was the formation that prohibited the foundation-building cultivators from entering. Its own spiritual energy slowly changed the environment of the cave, causing a spiritual vein to appear here. After investigating the level of the spiritual vein, we will go back to the Dacian court to report. In order for the spiritual vein and spiritual mind to completely belong to the Yan family, they must first register with the Dacian dynasty. Then, Dacian will send relevant officials to conduct on-site inspections. After confirming that everything is correct, a contract can be signed. Before registering, it is necessary to ensure that the spiritual vein exists and that there is no danger around the spiritual vein. This is what the three Yan family members are doing now. After all, Dacian officials are just passers-by, not Yan family thugs. Once they see that there is a risk here, they will turn around and leave. Not only will they not come to register again, they will even secretly bear a grudge. Lingyu, this seems to be a newly born spiritual vein. When Yan Lingyu was alert, Yan Yinglian's voice suddenly came, with excitement in his tone. The former was startled, and hurried to investigate it himself, and confirmed again that it was a newly born spiritual vein. A newly born spiritual vein is like a newborn seedling, and it has unlimited room for growth. The quality of the spiritual vein can be continuously improved by the cultivators watering and fertilizing it. If such a spiritual vein is to be auctioned, it cannot be bought without 500,000 spiritual stones. Yan Lingyu went from shock to surprise. The Yan family hits the jackpot. Chonggang, it's not good. Someone has entered here first, block the entrance of the cave, don't let the people inside run away and leak the news. Suddenly, a sound came from behind the three Yan family members. Someone else has entered the cave. Chapter 46, Hi Family, Testing. In the cave, Yan Lingzhang looked serious and asked Yan Lingyu, "Old Nine, what should we do now?" The latter pondered for a while, his eyes flashed, And he said, the other party can't be a foundation building cultivator if they can enter this cave. With me here, it's useless for a few key training people to come. At least we are safe. And it seems that they don't have a nascent spiritual vein in the cave. Let's negotiate first. If negotiation doesn't work, just take ruthless action. The spiritual vein opportunity came by chance, and the Yan family couldn't give it up. No matter who came, they had to fight. Yan Yinglin and Yan Lingyu both nodded, took out their respective magic weapons, and took 2 key enhancing pills to replenish the losses from the previous battle. Then, the 3 of them returned to the cave entrance with the help of the dim light. At the entrance of the cave, there were 3 cultivators wearing sea blue robes. They were none other than Hai Chongyang and the other 2 from the Hai family. They were staring at the depths of the cave, where footsteps were heard. I am Zhang Rulan from the Zhang family of Yingzhou. This cave is also owned by our Zhang family. Fellow Taoists, please go back, the dull voice echoed throughout the cave. Hai Chongyang looked at the 3 masked men walking towards him, frowned slightly, and thought to himself, Zhang family of Yingzhou? Zhang Rulan? It seems that there is such a person. Hai Chongming, a clan member beside him, said at this time, the other party is from the Zhang family. Chongyang, what should we do? If we kill him directly according to the original plan, it may cause discord between the 2 families. Although the Hai family is not afraid of the Zhang family, it is not a good thing to have more enemies for no reason. Hai Chongyang did not respond to the clan member, but spoke to the person in front of him. I am Hai Chongyang from the Hai family of Yizhou. Fellow Taoists should have seen the power of the formation here. This formation was arranged by our Hai family. We advise you to leave quickly, otherwise, I will activate the formation and strangle you here. His voice was loud and shook the surrounding stalagmites. His words had an effect. The 3 people on the opposite side stopped moving and began to communicate. Old 9, it's the Hai family. The leader is the best person below the foundation building stage in Yizhou, Hai Chongyang. He is a master who can retreat directly from the hands of a foundation building cultivator. The other 2 are also famous key training 9th level cultivators in the Hai family. They are not easy to deal with, and if this formation is really set up by the other party, we can't defeat them. It's better to let go. Yan Lingyu's heart rang with the worry of his 4th brother. The destination of Yan Lingzhang's delivery of goods this time was the Hai family in Longxi. There, he saw the strength of the Hai family. Even if the Zhang and Yan families in Yingzhou joined forces, they could not be the opponent of the Hai family. When Yan Lingzhang learned that the other party was Hai Chongyang, his mind sank. Don't worry, if they can activate the formation, they would have activated it long ago. Why are they still talking so much here? It's nothing more than a fox pretending to be a tiger. 4th uncle, 4th brother, follow my instructions. They disguised themselves as people from the Zhang family. They wanted to sneak into Changkang. If they really fought, they could also bring disaster to the Zhang family. As for letting go, there is no such word in Yan Lingyu's dictionary. In his opinion, the other party should have received the same information as himself, only knowing that there is a spiritual vein here, but no information about the newly born spiritual vein. He still has a chance to scare the other party away. If the Hai family really knows the true situation of the spiritual vein, then it is destined to be a fight to the death. In order to find out the level of the spiritual vein, a special detection tool must be used. When Kin Fu found this place, he must have just done a simple naked eye survey. Otherwise, he could raise the price to the Yan family on the grounds of a newly born spiritual vein. This is not the other party's fault. After all, detection tools are bulky, and the storage bag is only so big. It is impossible for ordinary people to carry them every time they go out. Kin Fu, he murmured softly. Now that he is in this situation, it is definitely related to this person. He did not tell the whole truth. Being tricked by the other party, Yan Lingyu's eyes showed a fierce look. After a long silence in the cave, a voice was heard again. Brother Hai, we don't have to be so hypocritical. I guess you have heard that there is a spiritual vein here, right? This matter has to be based on first come first served. If Brother Hai can leave now, my Zhang family will not let you run for nothing. When I return to the clan, I will report to the clan elders and send generous gifts to your Hai family, Yan Lingyu said lightly. The sound of the long-winded sound was getting closer and closer, and the distance between the 2 sides was getting closer step by step. Seeing that the other party was so polite, Hai Chongyang also showed a kind smile and said, Brother Zhang, first come first served, respect the old and love the young. These are for children. In the world of cultivating immortals, only the strong prey on the weak. As soon as the word eat fell, the three people of the Hai family burst out with amazing momentum. In an instant, Hai Chongyang's unique Taoist method of the Hai family, the shucking waves technique, had solidified and hit the three masked men in front. Because of the blessing of the Hai family's refining the Nether Yellow Spring Sutra, this technique became more powerful. The cave seemed to be submerged by the sea, with turbulent water and deafening waves, blocking all the escape space for the opponent. Faced with such waves, ordinary Kigan cultivators would only feel powerless and then be swept into it, and their fate would be decided by him. Seeing this momentum, Yan Lingyu's face was solemn. In an instant, he regarded this kid named Hai Chongyang as an existence with the same strength as himself. Ha! He shouted loudly and stepped on the ground with one foot. Peng, Zheng with Yan Lingyu as the center of the circle, a ball of light grew from small to large, like a huge bubble that was blown up, protecting him and the Yan family members in it. This is the upper-grade yellow-level Taoist technique, Zhuanshan technique. This bubble created by Zhuanshan technique swayed as soon as it came into contact with the surging waves, and the brewing halo flickered and dispersed, making people worry that it would burst at any time. Ordinary Zhuanshan techniques may not be able to withstand this pressure. But Yan Lingyu's has the dual blessing of Hengshui spirit body and spirit body source. It seems to be shaky, but in fact it can still hold on for one stick of incense. One stick of incense seems very short, but in this kind of duel, it will seem long. Yan Lingyu is convinced that the opponent is only in the key training stage. If he wants to launch such a powerful attack, the price must be a huge consumption of mana. Yan Lingyu has the strong mana provided by Zhuangxi Shumianju. Compared with consumption, he is not afraid of anyone. Sure enough, seeing that the offensive is ineffective, the waves quickly receded. But the Hai family is not without benefits. They use the cover of seawater to hide themselves. At this time, the Hai family is in the dark, the Yan family is in the light, and the initiative is still in the hands of the other party. Be careful, the situation of the other party is a little wrong. Hai Chongyang in the shadows sent a voice to the other two clansmen. He had to admit that he had underestimated the three masked men before. He didn't know the skills of the other two. But this guy who used Zhuanshan technique made him feel tricky. Hai Chongyang naturally knew about Zhuanshianshu, a yellow-level water-based technique. There were also people in the Hai family who specialized in practicing this technique, but none of them could achieve the same effect as the other party. Hai Chongyang estimated that even if a foundation-building cultivator were to perform Zhuanshianshu, it would only be so good. The other party had already brought this technique to its extreme. He believed that he could not do this. Judging from the tip of the iceberg, the person who released Zhuanshianshu was definitely not a simple person. If the three masked men were all of this strength, for the safety of the tribe, Hai Chongyang would choose to avoid their edge and return to the tribe for help. Uncle Shi, help me pay attention to the other party's style. These three people are definitely not from the Zhang family. The voice transmission suddenly sounded, and Hai Chongyang decided to make another move to see how deep the water was. Chapter 47, Seeing Through the Identity, Officially Fighting. In the shadows, Hai Chongyang stared at the three members of the Yan family who were gathered in a circle. The tall one is the one who cast the Zhuanshan technique. The other one is strong and doesn't look easy to mess with. There is one left, he calculated in his mind and slowly locked his eyes on the thinnest of the three masked men. Then, he slowly raised his hand, and a sharp long nail began to emerge. This nail is the corresponding yellow-level Taoist technique of the Lian'ao Huinquan Sutra, called the Lian'ao's Henhan nail, which can only be condensed by Huinquan's Hanqi. There is no movement when it is activated. Often, the enemy will only find that this Henhan nail has arrived in front of them when they are about to be attacked. This is a killing move. Go! Hai Chongyang flipped his hand with one hand, and then pushed it again. The Henhan nail, which was originally suspended in the palm of his hand, broke through the air at an extremely fast speed, leaving only a vague dark green afterimage in the air. Swoosh! A strange feeling came over him, and Yan Lingyu's spiritual consciousness, which was fully released, suddenly noticed something strange, knowing that the other party had launched an offensive in secret. But the opponent's aura was not on him. Instead, it was directed at the two tribesmen behind him. Be careful, the strange feeling came very quickly, and Yan Lingyu only had time to activate the Zhuanshan technique to increase the defense of the Taoist bubble to the maximum. Yan Lingyu and Yan Yinglian heard the reminder and hurriedly used their skills with all their strength. The attack that could make Yan Lingyu so shocked must be fierce. Pop! The bubble was pierced, and the soul-suppressing nail only paused, and then continued to poke at its target. At this moment, Yan Yinglian only felt that he was wrapped in infinite coldness, and the blood in his body flowed back secretly. His body trembled in fear and was difficult to control. He understood that the enemy's target was himself. Thinking of this, Yan Yinglian bit his tongue hard, using the severe pain to get rid of his involuntary fear and regain control of his body. Ha! He shouted suddenly, and moved the giant sword in his hand with all his strength to block it to his side. Green light flashed around his body and attached to the giant sword, enhancing its defense ability. Ding! A sharp friction sound rang out, and Yan Yinglian seemed to be hit by a huge force, retreating uncontrollably, and his hands were instantly numb due to the shock from the giant sword. This top-grade magic weapon made of 1,000-year-old iron wood was actually drilled with a small hole by the opponent's attack. Yan Yinglian looked down at his chest, where there was a dark green long nail that had pierced into his Taoist robe, and his skin could really feel the coldness of the nail tip. Fortunately, his body-protecting true ki finally intercepted this extremely terrifying nail. Yan Yinglian was first afraid, and then turned to be thankful. Fortunately, it was me who attacked. If it was Ling Zhang, he would be seriously injured if not dead. After a brief loss of consciousness, he immediately cheered up. Although he was attacked, in addition to consuming a lot of mana, he was not injured and still had combat power. And his ironwood giant sword was only punched with a small hole, which hardly affected his continued use. Seeing that his clansmen were fine, Yan Lingyu breathed a sigh of relief, then his eyes focused, and he used his hands to cast a few enhanced versions of water arrow rain in the direction where the soul-suppressing nails were flying. However, another stream of water rushed over, and his attack was dispersed, and the opponent's figure disappeared again. The reaction is average, the strength is average, just the level of normal ki training level 9. It seems that the guy who used the Zuanshan technique is the strongest among this group of people. Hai Chonggang, who disappeared into the darkness again, roughly understood the situation in his heart. Then, he sent a voice message to the clansman. Have you seen the other party's background? The green true ki should come from Chongchengong. I remember that the main practitioners of Chongchengong are the Beidiyan family. Beidiyan family? Bikingzang family? I understand. This group of people must be from the Yan family. After a little thought, Hai Chonggang immediately came to his senses. The Yan and Zhang families are both forces in Yingzhou. There must be constant friction between the two families. They want to kill each other. This is also the reason why the three people in front of us pretended to be the Zhang family. They want to let the Zhang family take the blame. What a scheme. Hai Chonggang once again set his sights on the person who released the Zuanshan technique. The identity of this person is about to be revealed. Yan Lingyu, in the past few years, there have been rumors spreading in Yazhou that the Yan family in Yingzhou has produced a peerless genius. At a young age, killing people above their level is as easy as drinking water. There are even rumors that Yan Lingyu's talent has surpassed Hai Chonggang of the Hai family. Originally, the latter sneered. The Yan family is a family that has barely been passed down for 200 years. Among the ancestors, only the first generation of ancestors Yanping has some fame. How could such a family give birth to a person with outstanding talent? It's just a boast of people in the barren land. This idea has been maintained until today, before it was broken. Yan Lingyu, after discovering the identity, Hai Chonggang suddenly roared loudly. At the same time, he sent a message to the clan members to take action immediately. The Yan family only has one Yan Lingyu, and the other two are obviously a burden. The three members of the Hai family are at the peak of the 9th level of ki training, and their overall strength is much stronger, so they have a great chance of winning. When the name was called, Yan Lingyu frowned, wondering how the other party knew his identity. But there was no time to think about it, the enemy's attack had arrived. This sudden shout was to confuse his mind and make him reveal his flaws. However, Yan Lingyu has lived for more than 200 years, how could he be so easily swayed? Keep the formation. After sending a message to the Yan family, Yan Lingyu held the broken water sword in his hand, stepped on the void, and took a water lotus with every step, and the stars appeared. In an instant, his figure became blurred. This is the footwork, the 8 steps of water Yao Xingqian. Swoosh swoosh, the Hai family has not arrived yet, but the attack has arrived first. 2 more soul-suppressing nails. But this time the Yan family has been prepared. And it is still difficult for the sneak attack hidden weapon to make a contribution again. As the soul-suppressing nails were blocked, Hai Chongyang and the other 2 were close to them. HMPH, seeing this, Yan Lingyu Hengshui's spirit body circulated at full power, and the bubbles around his body healed automatically and suddenly expanded, like a barrier, which blocked the movement of the Hai family members who entered it. Zhuanshan technique, the bubble is a world, and in this world, I am the sky, and everyone must be controlled by me. The 3 Hai family members were also very responsive on the spot. They found that this Zhuanshan technique was amazing, and immediately wrapped their bodies with a dark blue true energy to offset the impact of the Zhuanshan bubbles. Click, Yan Yinglian raised his heavy sword and stabbed it into the ground. The heavy 7-foot sword was like an indestructible shield, protecting the clan members. Yan Lingyu behind him no longer hid his clumsiness. He laughed and his magic power was running quickly. Taoist magic was born out of thin air and shut out. The Taoist magic he released was not of high grade, but it was varied and fast. In a breath, there were 5 low-level magics, like a human-shaped crossbow machine, continuously providing output. At the same time, Yan Lingyu also secretly added explosive power to these Taoist arts, which would cause the Taoist arts to explode during flight, making the originally weak low-level Taoist arts also have the ability to kill. This reflects his profound research on Taoist arts. The coordinated offensive of the 3 members of the Yan family was unexpected by the Hai family. Their main output was not Yan Lingyu, but Yan Lingyu, who was tall and had the lowest cultivation. This endless artillery of magic made the people of the Hai family tired of blocking it. And their attack would be blocked by Yan Yinglian. At the same time, when the Hai family wanted to accumulate momentum to use powerful magic, Yan Lingyu, who was like a ghost, would appear on time with his feet on the water and his steps on the stars to interrupt their casting. At this moment, the 3 members of the Hai family could only passively fall into the magic artillery fire. This was completely different from the crushing blow they had originally expected. In the moment of fighting, they were the disadvantaged party. Chapter 48 Hai Chongyang Size, Unlucky Lin Zixan. Fight, the sound of swords colliding rang out. Hai Chongyang, who was trying hard to use the 9 nether steps, barely kept up with Yan Lingyu's pace, blocking the attack for his family members, so that the powerful Taoist magic could be generated. In this fight, Hai Chongyang was getting more and more frightened. Let's talk about Yan Lingyu first. At this moment, the Hai family had guessed that the former must have a spiritual body that could enhance the power of magic, but they didn't know what kind of spiritual body it was. Moreover, the other party's cultivation method must be a first-class powerful cultivation method, and its magic power was exaggerated. Hai Chongyang had already started to take pills, but the other party continued to swim as if nothing had happened, without a trace of decadence. At the same time, he also found that Yan Lingyu's fighting sense was also outrageous. No matter how tricky the angle of his soul-suppressing needle was or how perfect the timing was, the other party could react and block it. This made Hai Chongyang unbelievable, and he suspected that the other party was some old monster who lowered his cultivation level to bully them, the key training monks. Damn it, where did this monster come from? Hai Chongyang cried secretly in his heart. No, he was short-sighted. He had fought with the talented children of the big clans and was crushed himself. But the only person who gave him this feeling of calmness and bottomlessness was Yan Lingyu. He knew that the other party did not use his full strength. What made Hai Chongyang speechless was that in addition to this monster, the other 2 people in the Yan family were not quite right. The cultivation of these 2 people was already known. One was at the 9th level of key training, and the other had just entered the 8th level of key training. If you take one of them out alone, although they have some skills, they are not much. But when these 2 guys are combined, they show that 1 plus 1 is far greater than 2. Although the Hai family has gradually gained the upper hand with its strong comprehensive qualities, they still can't do anything to the other party for a while. Even the people of the Yan family are still unscathed, while the people of the Hai family were blasted and injured. After Hai Chongyang's observation, he discovered the secret of the 2 Yan family members' combined strength. They cooperated too well. The guy with the heavy sword can always appear in the right position to bear the damage for the output position. Although he has a higher cultivation level, he has never made a move in the battle so far, and only does defense work. And the magic cannon is also focused. While taking the pill, he condenses the magic, as if he is not worried about being attacked. There is no defensive magic around him. He only cares about how to defeat his target. The two trust each other. Hai Chongyang has only seen this kind of situation of entrusting life and death to each other in those Imperial Guards who have fought for years. And the other party is just a family member of medium and low level. Not only them, but also the elusive Yan Lingyu. Sometimes Yan Lingyu will deliberately give up defense and attack with all his strength. Every time at this moment, he can get the support of the magic cannon, which is why Hai Chongyang feels so cowardly. The other party's fighting style of you and me, I and you, makes their opponents feel that they are facing a master without flaws. This Yan family is too scary, Hai Chongyang sighed in his heart. Seeing the big from the small, just looking at the three people of the Yan family in front of him, he could not help but think of the scene of the Yan family members working together. This family with a common goal in the world, if it is weak, it is fine, but if it becomes strong, their enemies will fall into endless pain and suffering. And now because of the appearance of Yan Lingyu, the Yan family obviously has a future. Hai Chongyang does not want to have a gap with opponents like the Yan family. But the matter of the spiritual vein is more serious, he must take it down. Boom. While thinking, the powerful Taoist technique that the Hai family finally condensed finally fell. Sea snake storm cloud technique. I saw a huge phantom of a sea snake, with surging waves, smashing towards the Yan family. This technique is different from the previous stormy waves, which is so powerful but dispersed. The sea snake storm cloud focuses on a small range of attacks, so it is more threatening to a small place. Hai Chongyang believes that even if the ancestor of the Zhuanshan technique comes today, it can't be stopped. However, the next moment, a spiritual pressure suddenly appeared, and the bright moonlight passed through the entire cave. The phantom of the sea snake was abruptly stopped by a full moon. Then, it was like a mud cow entering the sea, turning into a faint spiritual star. What? Spiritual weapon? After consuming so much time, this monster actually still has the mana to activate the spiritual weapon. Hai Chongyang was shocked. He was not surprised that the other party had a spiritual weapon, and he could even understand that the other party could activate the spiritual weapon. The question is, why does this person have such deep mana? He can still use the spiritual weapon after a fierce battle. The moonlight swept over, and the three people of the Hai family avoided it urgently. They didn't know the effect of this spiritual weapon. Hai Chongyang, who was retreating, cheered up again. He knew that if he didn't work harder, it would be difficult to take the other party today. The netherworld law turns, the spirit of refining life, the king of hell drives, and the immortal appears by me. Hai Chongyang shouted out 16 words. This is the ultimate method of refining the netherworld Huangquan Sutra. The netherworld will possess the body, which is an extremely top-level Zhuan-level method. Because it is the blessing of the nine-headed jellyfish demon pill, it can be barely used in the key training period. In an instant, his eyes emitted a dark blue light, and his whole body was wrapped in mist, as if a god had really descended to the world. Then, a blue trident with a thunderous momentum appeared in his hand. This is the spiritual weapon White Whale Sea King Halberd. It shines brightly under the urging of Hai Chongyang's magic power. Hai Chongyang didn't want to use it at first, worried that it would be too powerful and damage the spiritual veins in the cave. But now, he had to take action. The long halberd was thrown out, transformed into a white whale with rolling water vapor, and smashed towards the full moon barrier. Hide behind me. Faced with such an attack, Yan Lingyu looked solemn and said lightly. At the same time, the vortex of true qi formed by the Hengshui spirit body and the source of the spirit body rotated rapidly in his body. Part of the generated magic power flowed to the Heiaoyu then Kongjian to bless the power. The other part flowed out of the body and turned into a dark green viscous liquid, a mysterious level spell, Hengshui Yinli. Boom, a violent collision sound came. The huge shock force made the whole cave tremble. At this moment, both sides dared not bear the force. If they were careless, they might die. Crack, crack, the spiritual energy wave made the surrounding rock walls begin to crack. The two sides were deadlocked until the momentum weakened. Suddenly, with a muffled dong, the rock layer on the top collapsed. Then three figures fell from above. The most conspicuous one among them was a bald and strong man. Lin Zixin. Hai Chongyang recognized this person instantly. Although Yan Lingyu did not know Lin Zixin, the other party was hiding up there secretly, and he was not a good person at first glance. He was wondering why the Hai family also got the news. It seemed that this guy named Lin Zixin was making trouble in secret. In an instant, Hai Chongyang and Yan Lingyu stopped at the same time. The two families who were just fighting, at this moment, seemed to appreciate each other and chose to join forces tacitly to kill the newcomer. What's going on? Lin Zixin, who was still dazed, suddenly felt the crisis and discovered the changes around him. Facing attacks from both sides, even if he was as strong as he was, he didn't dare to take it head-on, not to mention that there were fellow disciples behind him. Bad luck, bad luck, bad luck. Quickly analyzing the situation, one side was Hai Chongyang from the Hai family, who was a character, the other side was three masked men, who were not very familiar and were obviously inferior to the Hai family. You have to pick the soft person. Where did you come from? You dare to sneak attack me? I'll start with you. Lin Zixin didn't care about anything else, and golden light flashed all over his body, and he broke through in the direction of the three people from the Yan family. Thanks to Emperor Tu Xiangsha and book friend 20210920142605182, the two great people for the monthly tickets. Your support is the motivation for new authors. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49, Defeat the enemy with one move, showing his divine power for the first time. From the appearance of Kangtong Sect's Lin Zixin, to the joint efforts of the Yan and Hai families, to the killing of this person in the direction of the Yan family, it only took a few breaths of time. Seeing that Lin Zixin was going to fight with Yan Lingyu, Hai Chongyang, who was standing aside, took back the White Whale Sea King halberd, put on an attitude of watching the battle, and couldn't help but smile. He waved to the Hai family members, indicating that they didn't need to participate in the battle at this moment. Now, Hai Chongyang's goal is still very clear, that is, to seize the spiritual veins and spiritual minds in the cave. Regardless of whether Kangtong Sect is the mastermind behind the scenes, or just happened to pass by here, anyway, Lin Zixin and the other two, like the Yan family, have become competitors for obtaining spiritual veins, and are destined to be resolved. Therefore, when two tigers fight, one must be injured, or even both will be injured, and then his Hai family will be able to reap the benefits. Hai Chongyang got rid of the possession of the Hades, looked at Yan Lingyu from a distance, and murmured, Yan Lingyu, this Lin Mangfu is not easy to deal with. His whole body is smelly and hard. It will hurt your teeth no matter how you start. Chongyang, you have fought with both of them. Who do you think is better? The tribesman came with a voice transmission. After Hai Chongyang pondered for a moment, he replied calmly, of course it is Lin Zixin of the Kangtong Sect. His Vajra indestructible spirit body is invincible among people of the same level. The key is that I don't know what kind of martial arts this guy has practiced, and his speed is extremely fast. Even when I am in a completely victorious posture, I can't get the upper hand. Besides, according to my observation, Yan Lingyu's means of attack are not outstanding. Neither the Zuanshan technique nor the weird technique can hurt Lin Zixin. Even his spiritual weapons are more defensive, while the latter can hurt him. Yan Lingyu is destined to be passive, although we still don't know how deep his magic power is. Lin Zixin's strength lies in his physical body. If we really compete in consumption, Yan Lingyu will suffer a loss. This iron lump can disgust the Yan family to death. At this point, Hai Chongyang's meaning was very clear. He was not optimistic that Yan Lingyu would win. As for the remaining two people of the Yan family, those low-level spells with explosions would only be feared by Kigan masters who are not good at defense, but would not have any effect on these Kangtong Sect cultivators who practiced body cultivation. Hai Chongyang made a very sure conclusion. In my opinion, how long the Yan family can hold on depends on how long Yan Lingyu's remaining mana can be used. After hearing this, his cousin Hai Chongming was relieved and said, that's great. It just so happens that the Yan family is very difficult for us to deal with. This time we can ask Kangtong Sect to help us. In fact, with a Lianio soul-suppressing nail, the three people of the Hai family were not afraid of Lin Zixin. After all, the soul-suppressing nail directly attacks the soul of others. If Lin Zixin really gets hit by it, he will be in big trouble. Then, Hai Chongyang reminded, let's wait and see, and when the two sides are about to decide the winner, We will strike with thunder and defeat them all in one fell swoop. Yes. Old 9. This person is Lin Zixin from Kongtong sect. Kongtong sect. Yan Lingyu frowned slightly when he saw the other party coming aggressively. Kongtong sect is still very famous in Xiaonan County because of the existence of the Jinden Daoism and the loose recruitment of people. There are many disciples in the sect, making it the only overlord in Jeju. In Yan Lingyu's previous life, it was as famous as thunder. Therefore, he knew that the other party must be strong. When the Hai family was communicating, Lin Zixin had already arrived in front of the Yan family. As Hai Chongyang expected, the Taoist magic activated by Yan Lingyu had a tickling effect on the 3 people of Kongtong sect. This made Yan Lingyu, who had been showing his power before, feel defeated. He said helplessly, "Old 9, 4th uncle, it seems that these 3 guys have to be handed over to you. Looking at their exaggerated physique, I don't know if my juke sword can block them." Yan Yinglian also smiled bitterly, and had no confidence in our side. He noticed the intention of the Hai family, but he couldn't blame them. The Yan family was entangled by the Kongtong sect and could only blame themselves for their bad luck. In the previous fight with the Hai family, they had lost a lot of mana and elixirs, while the 3 people from the Kongtong sect were in their prime. The situation was very unfavorable to the Yan family. However, Yan Lingyu looked calm. He said to the clan members behind him lightly, "You don't have to take action. I will deal with these 3 people alone." His words were full of confidence. "Those who dare not see people, take my punch first." Lin Zixin, who was still a certain distance away from the Yan family, suddenly shouted angrily and punched Yan Lingyu in the face through the air. Bang! The fist wind whistled, the air waves scattered, and the space trembled. Yan Lingyu remained calm, his magic power flowed, and his Zuanshan technique rose, catching and offsetting the opponent's fist wind. Then, the Hengshui spirit body and the spirit body source flow opened together, and the dark green Renshu Yinlei continued to seep out from his body, quickly forming a protective water flow. Bundle, Yan Lingyu chanted softly, and pinched the spell with his hands. The next moment, the Renshu Yinlei was like a surging wave, hitting Lin Zixin. HMPH, a trifling trick, Lin Zixin said disdainfully. The previous magic attack by the masked man did not hurt him at all, and even his Kongtong sect fellow disciples who were not as strong as him could deal with it. Therefore, Lin Zixin classified the 3 people from the Yan family as ordinary key training cultivators. At this moment, he also knew that the other party was coming for the spirit vein. He had to quickly deal with the 3 masked people and save his physical strength to compete with the Hai family. "Break it for me," Lin Zixin shouted, and his whole body was shining with golden light. His body seemed to be made of gold and looked indestructible. He stomped his foot hard on the ground, and with the help of the strange Jiao Tu, he rushed towards the waves in front of him as if he had cut through the stars in the universe. No, as soon as he came into contact with the Renshu Yinlei, Lin Zixin was shocked. He felt that he was not hitting a stream of water, but a towering mountain. The recoil made him exhale a foul breath. "Back off," Lin Zixin suddenly shouted to his fellow disciples. And then the dark and thick water submerged him. Zixin, seeing this situation, the disciples of Kongtong sect hurriedly backed away from the strange black waves. They knew that with their strength, they would only make things worse. Is this Yinlei? But why is the sense of oppression so strong? What kind of Taoist magic is this? The Kongtong sect's Xianjiao, who possessed an indestructible spirit body, was horrified at this moment, and felt that he was caught by a hand of heaven and could not move. He had to close his 5 mouths tightly to prevent the unknown water from flowing into his body. "I was careless and shouldn't have been so reckless." At this moment, Lin Zixin was so regretful that he had to find another way to escape. "What?" the 3 Hai family members in the distance exclaimed. Lin Zixin, whom they had high hopes for, was subdued in one encounter and fell into the strange water flow. He was silent and didn't know whether he was alive or dead. The funny thing was that they had boasted that the Yan family must be defeated. This slap in the face came too suddenly. "Did Yan Lingyu hold back when he fought with us? It's just that the reckless man was too arrogant and rushed straight into the enemy's trap," Hai Chongyang said. At the same time, he felt fortunate. Yan Lingyu had used this magic on him before, but the former was more cautious and avoided the attack. At that time, Hai Chongyang felt that this magic was not as simple as it looked, and it turned out to be true. "It's time to take action," Hai Chongyang said with a cautious look on his face. If the Yan family uses Lin Zixin as a threat to force the other two people from Kongtong sect to attack us, then our high family will not be able to obtain this spiritual vein. Chapter 50. The man behind the scenes. Zixin admits defeat. Miss, what do you think of these three people? A whisper suddenly sounded in a corner of the natural cave, asking. The person who spoke was a middle-aged man. He stood without covering himself, as if he had been waiting here for a long time. However, no one from the three parties of Yan, Hai, and Kongtong who were still fighting could find him. Beside the middle-aged man was a beautiful young girl. She nodded repeatedly and said with some playfulness, not bad, very good, especially the one from the Yan family. It should be Hengshui Yanli. He has just practiced key cultivation and can use such a high-level Zhuan level magic. It is really unexpected. Uncle Ran, when the time comes, you can ask if you can invite him to visit my county mansion. The woman actually saw what Yan Lingyu was learning at a glance. Miss personally invited Yan Lingyu, so Yan Lingyu will definitely come. In the whole Shaonan County, who dares to say no to Miss Tisk? Boring. The young girl's name is Qin Hainer, the only daughter of Qin Fengyan, the county lord of Shaonan County. At this moment, her pretty face was filled with disappointment. Accustomed to the servant's submissiveness and flattery, the girl just wanted to find some true friends with whom she could talk. However, the family was under strict supervision. Anyone who approached her would be investigated, tied up, and eventually lose their original appearance. Uncle Ran, it's time to show up, otherwise the big guy from Kongtong sect will not be able to hold on. If the fight continues, it will not be good if they are scattered. After all, they are all the geniuses of Shaonan County, and they gathered here because we instructed them to do so. It turned out that the news of the spiritual vein here was spread to the three parties of the Yan family by the Princess Mansion, and Qin Fu was also a servant in the Princess Mansion. Yes, I admit defeat. Let's not fight anymore. Kongtong sect doesn't want this spiritual vein anymore. I beg you to spare me. If you want me to help fight off the Hai family, I agree. Lin Zixin, always keep my word. Lin Zixin's muffled wail was heard from the Hengshui Yin thunder that had rolled into a ball. This descendant of Kongtong sect, the best master under the foundation building in Jeju, the owner of the indestructible spirit body, and the genius who had refined the Jiao-2 in the key training period, felt uncomfortable all over at this moment, and he couldn't use his strength. In this technique, he was squeezed by 1,000-pound force all the time, and as his physical strength was consumed, this sense of oppression became stronger. More importantly, Lin Zixin himself had no way to get out. If Yan Lingyu's attack methods were insufficient, then Lin Zixin was not good enough to take it. Especially he was trapped. Now he also saw that the masked man could fight with a Hai family without losing, and might even be better. He was also confused. When he broke through, he should have chosen the more familiar Hai family. As a result, he happened to find such a demon who was extremely restrained in body refining, and he was so arrogant that he thought he could capture him easily, but he was captured instead. But Lin Zixin was also a brave man. In the current situation, he could forget about the spiritual veins, and consider how to save his life. If he couldn't get out of trouble, the two fellow disciples outside would also have to pay attention. Judging from the means used by the other party, they must not be the enemies of Kongtong sect. As long as there is no conflict between the two parties, everything can be negotiated. Besides, a real man can bend and stretch, and a temporary bow is nothing. There are only three forces in this cave. Give some hush money, and he, Lin Zixin, will still be alive and well after leaving the cave. He can even take this opportunity to meet a master. After this battle, he also discovered his own shortcomings and natural enemies. That is, he was afraid of this kind of magic with strong binding ability. It was a bit of a gain. Thinking about this, Lin Zixin felt that it was a wise move to admit defeat in time. As the caster, Yan Lingyu naturally knew everything about the movement in the Hengshui Yanli. To his surprise, the head of the Kongtong sect actually admitted defeat so fluently and skillfully. He couldn't help but secretly say, "Know the situation." This is a good thing for the Yan family. If the other party struggles hard and would rather die than surrender, Yan Lingyu will be in trouble. He may need to kill them. However, the successive appearance of several forces made him smell a conspiracy. Obviously, there is a mastermind outside, and Yan Lingyu has to consider this factor. The spell was cast, and the Hengshui Yanli slowly flowed, revealing a big round and shiny head. He, Lin Zixin, smiled, and it was flattering. Ask your fellow disciples to join forces with me to get rid of the Hai family, Yan Lingyu said lightly. At the same time, the Hai family also came to the battlefield. Hai Chongyang secretly cried out bad, and cursed Lin Zixin in his heart for being shameless. He was trapped for only a few breaths, and he simply surrendered. Originally, the Hai family had the ability to rescue him. When the three parties fought, it was still uncertain who would win. Once Huangtong sect surrendered, the Yan family's acquisition of the spiritual vein was a foregone conclusion and could not be shaken. Hai Chongyang had the idea of retreating. The Yan family alone made him stretched and difficult to deal with. Adding Huangtong sect, their Hai family might really die here. Seeing that the situation was not good, Hai Chongyang showed a dignified face, clasped his fists and greeted, "I just received a letter from home and had to rush back to the clan immediately. Brother Yan, today's battle is not a winner. When you are free, we will continue this battle in the future." After speaking, he waved his hand and signaled the clan members to follow him to evacuate. Yan Lingyu laughed in her heart. This Hai was really obsessed with face. He was obviously trying to escape, but he was trying to flatter himself. Yan Lingyu did not stop the other party from leaving. After all, the two families had no hatred or grudges, but only conflicts of interests. Even if the other party was unwilling to go back this time, when he wanted to come again, the Yan family had already contacted Daqian and let the spiritual veins and minerals belong to the Yan family. Wait, suddenly, a soft female voice sounded in the ears of several people. In an instant, Yan Lingyu's body and mind, which had been slightly relaxed, tensed up again. He was a little shocked, because the other party seemed to appear out of thin air, and he did not notice anything unusual before. This hidden method was really amazing. "Why is there someone else?" the trapped Lin Zixin screamed. With a crying face. For every additional person, he would have to pay an extra cent for the hush money, and he didn't know if his small purse could support it. Little princess, Hai Chongyang wanted to leave, but stopped and said in shock. The person who came was a girl. A silky black hair draped over her shoulders, her childish face was rosy and white, like a juicy peach, and everyone wanted to take a bite. Her pink and tender mouth was shining with an alluring luster, her face was white and her teeth were white, and she was wearing a light green glass dress. A thin green jade belt outlined her willow waist, and above her slender waist was a beautiful curve that amazed the heavens, making people fantasize. Little princess, unlike Hai Chongyang, Yan Lingyu frowned secretly. Princess Xiaonan did have a daughter, and it was probably the woman in front of him. Her appearance made Yan Lingyu feel uneasy. The spiritual vein that was about to be obtained might be lost. The princess's mansion was powerful, and the Yan family had to give in. Besides, Yan Lingyu felt that the little princess was very powerful, and there was a high probability that he was not her opponent. He felt a little discouraged, and he had worked in vain. Yan Lingyu thought so in his heart. However, the other party said, "The spiritual vein information you received was intentionally leaked by someone I arranged. The reason I invited you all here this time is not because of this ownerless spiritual vein, but because my county lord's mansion has something that I need your help with." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.